Somebody somewhere over the course of baseball history said, let's play two. And that's what we'll be doing here as we get ready for Game 2 of the doubleheader between the Jamestown Jammers and the Newark Pilots. Jammers won Game 1 11-9. It'll be Chris Malamon on the hill for Anthony Barone in Game 2. And speaking of the head coach of the Jamestown Jammers, it's time to get up close and personal with Anthony Barone. He is going to be the guy that we meet in the player profile. It's coming up right now here on the Jamestown Jammers Baseball Network. Here with the head coach of the Jamestown Jammers, Anthony Barone. We've been doing get-togethers with the players, getting to know the players, getting to know the ownership group, getting to know your right-hand man, Hayden Carter. So it's time that we sit down and get to know the guy that pulls the strings every night for this team. And you do so pretty successfully, in my experience being around you. Talk about your early days in baseball as a player, and maybe we can transition into how that's helped you become a good head coach.
Well, yeah, my early days, I started playing when I was about 5 or 6 years old, and my dad really got me into the game. I owe everything to him, and all the work that we did together with baseball. I just fell in love with the game. I was a youngster living up in Toledo, Ohio, and fell in love with the Detroit Tigers. And a player by the name of Alan Trammell was my favorite player, shortstop, and so I always wanted to be a shortstop when I was a little kid. And I worked so hard at the game, not only just with baseball but with basketball. My work ethic, I think, was second to none. So throughout my career, I think I've tried, outworking everybody, whether it's as a player, as a coach. I really enjoy just working at the game, and I love it.
Obviously, this takes a lot of hours of work to actually make this stuff happen. And I don't think sometimes people categorize you based on what their knowledge is, but they don't really know the whole story, what it takes to get to a certain point. And one of the things that I was impressed with for sure, as we've got to know each other better over these last 2 seasons, is your ability to find guys out there in college that fit a number of criteria, that are certainly have a skill set, but B, also have good character. And I think that's really important. And baseball's a team game. Yeah. Everybody has their stars, but in the end, it's a team game. We're sitting here, and I don't know when we're going to air this, but we're sitting here just after the opening night victory. Yeah. And the opening night victory was extra innings, and if there was a game that exemplified team, that was it. Yeah.
First thing I do whenever I recruit the roster is always make sure with the coaching staff I go to, good character guys. It's so important when you have a clubhouse full of 35 young men that you build it with character. That's the first thing and the most important thing. And when I've developed rosters the last couple of years, the other biggest thing I always look for is somebody with a chip on their shoulder, somebody that has something to prove. Mm-hmm. I was always sort of that guy that I always wanted to prove everybody wrong. And so when I look at guys, I go through this whole locker room right now. Everybody sort of has something to prove. And I think when you develop a roster at this level, the Collegiate Summer Baseball League, you need to have guys that want to be here, that have something to prove. And ultimately, guys that are good kids, that that want to be here, that want to help throughout the community. It helps the organization so much. And ultimately, I'm working for Rock Ventures, MK Sports, out of Milwaukee with Dan Kinsey and Mike Zimmerman, our owner. You want to make them proud too. That's the most important thing. And I'm sure they would tell you the same thing. They always want to win, but they want to represent our organization. And I'm not going to bring in just any guy just because they can play baseball well. It's more than that. So we want to do a good job representing who owns us because they're great people. Mike Zimmerman and Dan and they're outstanding individuals. So we want to make sure we represent them, and I think we're doing a good job of that.
Absolutely. One of the things that I'm impressed with is your ability. you can't look at your roster and say there was a geographic area that you specifically pointed at. Now, you were blessed with the University of Texas San Antonio guys.
Yeah.
How did that relationship start?
Well, I coached my last year of collegiate coaching. I was at Cal State Bakersfield, and back then we were in the Western Athletic Conference where we played University of Texas San Antonio, and I just developed a relationship with Coach Lawler, Coach Blair, Coach Marshall from UTSA, and when I got the job here, I sort of just wanted to continue that, and I knew the style of baseball they played, the type of kids they get. It's a top 100 program in the country, but ultimately they're still not the University of Texas main campus. So we're looking at guys that still have a chip on their shoulder.
Sure.
They ultimately they must love UTSA, but deep down they probably want to play for UT. Every kid in Texas probably wants to play for Texas or Rice or Baylor. So these guys are coming with a chip on their shoulder, and the program they run down there, I love the way they play, and so I just sort of kept that relationship, and it's been really good to us.
Yeah. One last thing, compared to an independent league team where you actually have control of that player and you can do whatever fits your needs that particular night, you still have to communicate with the head coaches if they happen to be pitchers of pitch count, or a number of innings, or even with the position players, the kinds of things that you're working with them to help these guys improve on.
Well, yeah, that's the other thing. We're trying to make everybody happy. The players, their programs they're at. Ultimately, we want to win and we want to do what's best for the student athlete. I'm in constant communication with their coaches. They have the rights to those players.
Sure.
They're on scholarship for them. So we're trying everything to keep them healthy, to keep them safe, to get them better, so we can build that relationship for the upcoming years. And I think we've done a wonderful job with that as well. So, we just continue to, the communication line is the big thing with collegiate summer baseball. You don't want to make anybody upset. You don't want to make, you want to make sure everybody's working together.
All right. Anthony Barone, we talk to you every night. We're going to talk to you after this, by the way, if you happen to be listening to the radio broadcast at the time this one airs. So we thank you for your time.
Well, thanks, Dave.
We'll talk again shortly.
And thank you for everything you do for us.
All right, thanks.
All right, and we will come back and...
Pennswood.net Classifieds offers the freshest, most recent classified ads available with over 1,500 new ads each day. If you're looking for a reliable used vehicle, check out the multiple ads daily on Pennswood.net Classifieds. From cars, trucks, RVs, and motorcycles, you can scan the ads at Pennswood.net at any time of the day or night and find something that fits your needs. Looking for household items, student housing, or even a new pet? Pennswood.net Classifieds has it. Pennswood.net, where you can buy, sell, or trade locally.
Once again, trying to tell you that you can go ahead to the YouTube page and catch Anthony Barone's coach profile. The video version, it is available for you to watch right now. Right now, let's listen to Anthony Barone as we get ready for Game 2 of the doubleheader. Jammers won Game 1, 11-9. Here's Anthony as we get ready for Game 2.
Getting ready for Game 2 of the doubleheader between the Jamestown Jammers and the Newark Pilots. Time to talk to Anthony Barone about the importance of this doubleheader here. And, of course, we've talked about the rivalry between these two teams and how tough it is to play here. One of the things that's tough when you get into the later evening parts of these contests is the amount of humidity around the area, the Erie Canal just beyond the outfield fence. And the balls really tend to not carry very well at this ballpark.
Yeah, this place is definitely not a hitter's ballpark. You see a lot of low-scoring games here, and that's why it's important we continue to stay with our approach of getting on base and walking and drawing some hit-by pitches. And so it's very, very humid here usually, very windy. But both teams got to play the elements.
No doubt about that. And the Jammers, of course, doing well both on the road and at home. Doesn't seem to faze these guys. What, over the course of time that you've been coaching teams, what attributes the team to be able to play that way, that it doesn't really matter? You're just going out to play a game each and every time.
It's just, you know, every time we play Newark, there's something about, you know, when we play them, it's, like I said, the records aren't indicative of the type of rivalry we've built. They have a really good ownership group, and they put out a good product. And, you know, I know they went through a coaching change, and the young guys that are over there now are doing a really good job of just, you know, trying to keep the ship, you know, afloat. They sort of were dealt a bad hand when you're, you know, the coach, you know, whatever happened after 10 games, you know, and then you got to take over. So there's a lot of, you know, instability at that point, but I think they've stabilized everything, and they've done a really good job of holding it together, and actually, you know, they're beating some teams now. So, you know, we got to play well today.
One of the things about being on the road, of course, is whether you're able to get a good night's rest. And we did last night. We stayed at a very nice facility. Not going to give them any plugs, but that's an important part of road life, is if you can get a good night's sleep at a place.
Yeah, yeah, we were up in Liverpool, which is right south of Syracuse, I think, or north. I'm not really sure. But, yeah, we had a 3-day road trip, Adirondack day 1, which was a long drive. And then staying at a nice hotel and just being able to rest up. And we played Onondaga late last night. So the guys have been able to relax. Went to a mall today and just sort of let the guys chill out and do their thing. And got BP in the cage today. And, you know, it's a long stretch of baseball. And for some of these guys, it's the first taste of just, you know, being around it every day. And, you know, sometimes it can just not wear you down only physically but mentally as well. So it's just how you approach each day and get into a routine and find out what works for you.
All right, we'll come back and talk about Game 2's starter and some other aspects of tonight's second game of the doubleheader after this on the Jamestown Jammers Baseball Network.
Penswood.net Classifieds offers the freshest, most recent classified ads available with over 1,500 new ads each day. If you're looking for a...
Well, as it turns out, we are just about ready for Game 2. Teams have been introduced, and we are set to go here for Game 2 of the doubleheader. Let's meet the starting lineup for the Jammers in Game 2. Leading off, catcher number 17, Chris Conley. Batting second, third baseman number 16, Chris Estrada. Hitting third, first baseman number 30, Ben Brookover. The number 4 hitter is center fielder. That's number 2, Skylar Valentine. Yeah, sticking pretty much the same here with the top 5, because batting fifth, the right fielder, number 9, Colin Stack.
Jamestown Jammers, number 17, Chris Conley.
Batting sixth, left fielder, number 6, John Conti. In the 7th hole, second baseman, number 29, Jimmy Standahar. Batting eighth, DH, number 25, Chris Steffel. And batting ninth and playing shortstop, it is Nick Bernick. And we are underway with the first pitch to Chris Conley, missing for ball 1. Conley in Game 1 of the doubleheader, 2 for 4, scoring 2 runs. Next pitch by Miller is high. It's ball 2. 2-0 the count to the left-handed hitting catcher of the Jammers. Yeah, catching back-to-back 7-inning games is Chris Conley. He's going to be one tired fellow tomorrow. I don't think he will be behind the plate against the Red Wings. Off-speed delivery by Miller, catches outside corner, and the count goes to 2 balls and 1 strike. Jordan Miller on the hill from New Iberia, Louisiana, attending Coastal Alabama Community College. 2-1 pitch, and he misses just a little bit outside, and the count now 3-1 to Chris Conley. Jammers now 18-5 on the season after the Game 1 win. 3-1 pitch. Conley rips this one deep into right center field, going back, and they won't catch it. Chris Conley starts the game, rocketing a 3-1 Miller pitch over the right field wall to put the Jammers up by a score of 1-0. Chris Conley wanted to be a part of that home run parade today as Ben Brookover added to his total, got it up to number 2. And now Chris Conley has hit 1, and he has 2 on the season.
Now to the plate, number 16, playing third base, Chris Estrada.
Third baseman Chris Estrada steps up to the plate for the Jammers. Estrada in Game 1 was 0 for 2, but he did score 2 runs. Jordan Miller's first pitch to Chris misses outside, ball one. 1 ball and no strikes. And the next one's hit in the air to left field. And Chen moves over and makes the catch, and that is the first out of the first inning for the Jammers. Ben Brookover will step to the plate now.
Now to the plate, number 30, playing first base, Ben Brookover.
Brookover in game 1 went 3 for 4, scoring 3 runs, and he jacked a home run in that game, as I just mentioned. Jammers up 1-0, courtesy of the Conley home run. 1 out, the first pitch to Brookover outside in the dirt. Bounces up, and that is ball 1. 1 ball and no strikes, with 1 out and nobody aboard for the Jammers in their half of the first inning. Miller, the righty on the hill. Brookover calls time, gets it, steps out of the batter's box, and gets reset. Miller with the 1-0 pitch. The PGCBL favorite outside corner. Count evens up at 1 ball and 1 strike. 1-1 the count with 1 out and nobody aboard, and a 1-0 Jammers lead. Brookover pops it up. Left fielder goes back, and Chen, short of the warning track, makes the catch, and that is the second out for the Jammers in their half of the first. And that'll bring up Skylar Valentine.
Now to the plate, number 2, playing center field, Skylar Valentine.
Valentine 1 for 2 in game 1, that is, with 2 runs scored. And Miller's first pitch is below the knees, and ball 1 to Skylar Valentine. Inning started with a Conley homer. Estrada and Brookover both flying out to left field, and Valentine pops up the 1-0 pitch from Miller, and the count now is even at 1. Jammers trying to get their 19th of the season. That one's inside, backs Valentine up. The count now 2-1. And it's going to happen. Chris Steffel is going to get his first start. It's going to be his DH tonight. That pitch is high, ball 3. I have never seen a young man step on the stage and hit the ball with more power in a game. Yeah, it's only been 2 at-bats, and he's got 2 hits. One of them a single, the other a double. But I mean to tell you, when he makes contact, does the ball fly. Valentine draws a 2-out walk.
In right field, Colin Stack.
And it brings up the right fielder, Colin Stack. Stack in game 1 went 1 for 3 and scored 1. Jammers scored 11 in game 1 and held on to win. Believe it or not, 11-9 the final there. First pitch to Stack by Miller on the outside corner, taken by Collins. Strike 1 called. No balls and 1 strike with 2 out and a runner at first in Valentine. Threat to take off at any time. He does, and it looks more like a run and hit. Stack hits one to right center field, and the right fielder flags it down and makes the catch of the fly ball off the bat of Colin Stack. So for the Jammers, they get a run on a hit. There were no errors for the Pilots, and a runner left on base. The score at the end of 1/2 inning, Jammers 1, Pilots coming to bat on the Jamestown Jammers Baseball Network.
This is the news. This morning, we are saluting the 2.2 million women who have joined in the war effort. They now make up 37% of the workforce, changing their role forever.
The prestigious Harvard Medical School is breaking ground today, opening its doors to new female applicants.
Today, little girls all over the world look to the sky, where the first woman is now in space.
Military stereotypes are challenged today with the trailblazing promotion of a U.S. female officer to 4-star general. It was just announced that the vast majority of last year's doctorate degrees were earned by women.
We've come so far, but our news is changing for the worse. More women die from heart disease and stroke than men, even though it can be prevented. Make a change at GoRedForWomen.org today. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the American Heart Association's Go Red for Women.
Back at Colburn Park in Newark, New York, and the Jammers out to a 1-0 lead in Game 2 of the 7-inning, that is, doubleheader. Game 1 won by the Jammers 11-9, and let's take a look at the Jammers in the field. For Game 2 in left field, it's John Conti, Skylar Valentine in center. It'll be Colin Stack in right, Chris Estrada down at third, Nick Burnett getting the start at shortstop, Jimmy Standahar at second, Ben Brookover down at first, Chris Conley behind the plate, catching Chris Valamont with his second start of 2017. The lineup for the Pilots, leading off center fielder number 12, DeMarcus Guillory, batting second, the right fielder number 11, Wei Chi Chen, batting third, first baseman Pete Battaglia, hitting fourth, left fielder number 5, Josh Loeffler, batting fifth, it is third baseman number 7, Nick Eli, batting sixth, the catcher number 31, Nick Capitano.
Now to the plate for your Newark Pilots, number 12 in center field, DeMarcus Guillory.
Batting seventh, shortstop number 28, Matthew Lillard. Batting eighth, the shortstop number 10, Michael O'Connor. And batting ninth and playing second, it is Christian Orr. So DeMarcus Guillory steps in to face Chris Valamont. Chris's second start, his first start was against Elmira. And a little bit of a rocky one. We expect that to go away with this start right now. And he fits one right in over the inside corner. DeMarcus Guillory takes strike one. Nice pitch by Valamont. The big righty out on the hill for Anthony Barone here in Game 2. That one's fouled back by Guillory, and he's quickly ahead of him. No balls and 2 strikes. Jammers jumping on the scoreboard first again here in Game 2 with a Chris Conley solo homer. Valamont just misses on that pitch, low, trying for the outside part of the plate to the left-handed hitting DeMarcus Guillory, and he misses, and the count is 1-2. Valamont brings the 1-2 pitch to Guillory. Chris Conley tried to frame that one in there, did not get the call, and the count is even at 2. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Guillory, the leadoff batter for the Pilots in their half of the first. Break-even pitch. Inside in the dirt as well, and the count now 3-2 on DeMarcus Guillory. So after going ahead, no balls and 2 strikes to Guillory, Valamont has allowed him to get back into it. The count now 3-2. 3 balls, 2 strike pitch from Valamont, fouled off by Guillory. Count remains full at 3-2. Jammers and Red Wings tomorrow night at Russell E. Dietrich Jr. Park. Make plans to join us there. 3-2 pitch on its way from Valamont. High outside, and that's ball 4. Guillory reaches. Leadoff man for the Pilots in the bottom of the first.
Now to the plate, number 11, playing left field, Wei Chi Chen.
Wei Chi Chen steps up to the plate for the Newark Pilots with a runner down at first in Guillory, and nobody out. It is the bottom half of the first inning in tonight's second game of a doubleheader. First time we've seen Chen tonight. Valamont's first pitch to him is outside and low, ball 1. Seemed to be off to a good start there. Now Chris is trying to nibble at the strike zone, and most of his efforts have been low. Guillory fouled off a couple of pitches as well. 1-0 the count to Chen, and the 1-0 pitch. Squares the bunt, pulls back, and watches ball 2. 2-0 the count. Wei Chi Chen did not play in Game 1, neither did DeMarcus Guillory. So we have no stats to bring you on those two guys from the first game of the doubleheader. 2-0 pitch on its way. Chen squares the bunt, pulls back, and they're trying to say that Chen was hit by the pitch, and now the home plate umpire is going to go out and talk with the bases umpire.
So they're going to send him back. If they send him back, it's a hit by pitch. If they let him stay at third, it should be
2 balls and no strikes.
Unless they say it hit off the bat.
The pitch escaped Chris Conley, and the runner on base, Guillory, tried to get over to third, but it was a pretty sloppy handling of the situation there by the umps. Not a clear call one way or the other. Home plate umpire comes back behind the plate. And if it's the case that it hit his bat, it's going to be a 2-1 count. Question now from the head coach of the Pilots. Guillory does get up to second. They're going to call it a 3-0 count. Yep, 3 balls, no strikes. Ump holds the fingers up. So Guillory at second base. 3-0 pitch. Catches inside corner as Chen watches strike one. 3-1 the count. 1-0, Jammers lead. We're in the bottom of the first inning in game 2 of a doubleheader. 3 balls, 1 strike. Chris Valamon on the hill with a pitch. Swing and a miss, strike 2. Chen, after being ahead 3-0, is now being worked and allowed Valamon to get back in it. Full count, 3-2. 3 balls, 2 strikes. Chris Valamon's payoff pitch. Swing and a miss, strike 3. Chen strikes out. Guillory still at second.
Now to the plate, number 78, playing first base, Peter Battaglia.
So Pete Battaglia comes to the plate in game 2 of the doubleheader, and Battaglia was 3 for 4 in game 1 and scored 3 times. Alaka and Battaglia accounted for 6 of the 9 Newark runs in game 1. And he gets a hold of it and fouls it back out of play, and it is strike 1 to Pete Battaglia. Right-handed hitter. Really driving the ball around in game 1 of this doubleheader. Has a chance here with Guillory at second. And 1 out. 0-1 pitch. There goes Guillory. Throw down by Conley is high, and sliding in is DeMarcus Guillory with the stolen base. And the count goes to 1 ball and 1 strike on Battaglia.
As the sun is setting over the Erie Canal here in left center field.
Earlier in the evening, we had a little more of a breeze out there in center field. Lifted that humongous flag off the pole. Now it's not resting on the pole, but it's just kind of gently flapping there. 1-1 pitch. Swing and a miss, strike 2. Foul tip, the home plate ump says, and the count now 1-2. 1 out, and a runner at third in DeMarcus Guillory, and a 1-0 Jammers lead. Bottom of the first. Newark trying to answer here in game 2. Chris Valamont with a 1-2 pitch. Outside low, off-speed delivery. The law of gravity took over and pulled that one right down to the ground. 2 balls, 2 strikes. 1 out. And the pitch from Valamont. Foul back to the backstop. Count still 2-2 on Battaglia. Valamont was ahead. No balls and 2 strikes to DeMarcus Guillory, and lost him on a 3-2 pitch. Came from behind, though, with Wei-Chi Chen at the plate, and ended up getting him to strike out swinging. This pitch is outside in the dirt. It's now 3-2 to Battaglia.
The third straight full count to begin this game.
So this is going to be a big one for Chris Valamont. He had a little bit of trouble like this against Elmira. See if he can get this one. 3-2 pitch. This is outside low, ball 4. Battaglia walks. He's down at first. Guillory at third.
That'll bring up Josh Loeffler.
Now to the plate, number 5 at DH, Josh Loeffler.
Josh Loeffler will step to the plate now.
He's hitting 4 for 14 with a 286 on base or batting average. 2 of those hits have gone for
Runner at first and a runner at third. The runner at first is Pete Battaglia. DeMarcus Guillory at third. First pitch by Valamont bounces, and it's off the chest protector of Conley and behind the batter Loeffler. It's ball 1. 1 ball and no strikes. Walks hurting the Jammers in game 1, but not to the point where they lost the game. They won at 11-9, but it was a lot closer than it needed to be. And so far, it's a problem for Chris Valamont. He's walked 2. There is 1 out. And a 1-0 count on Loeffler, the 4th batter at the plate in the inning. It's popped up by Loeffler, but it's out of play, and the count is even at 1. 1 ball, 1 strike.
1 ball, 1 strike to the Pilots.
A run on a hit. Solo homer by Chris Conley has the Jammers up 1-0. We're in the bottom of the first. A chance for the Pilots with runners at the corners and 1 out. Chris Valamont with a 1-1 pitch. This one is popped up, and it's going to be playable by the right fielder Colin Stack. Tagging at third, coming home, Guillory. The throw was cut off by Ben Brookover, and then a quick throw down to second by Chris Conley as Battaglia wanted to take advantage of the throw coming in to move up, and that doesn't work either. So we're tied at 1. Sack fly off the bat of Loeffler.
Number 7 at third base, Nick Eli.
Nick Eli will step to the plate after Loeffler hits the sac fly and picks up the RBI.
Loeffler hits a sacrifice fly for his first RBI.
Runner at second in Battaglia, and 2 out now. And Valamont will face Nick Eli. Eli did not play in game 1.
First RBI of
So Nick Eli coming into the game hitting 167. This is 5th game and 5th start. And the first pitch to him, a big cut and a miss, strike 1. No balls and a strike to the right-handed hitting third baseman in game 2, Nick Eli. 0-1 the count with 2 out and a runner at second in Battaglia. By the way, that's 1 run on no hits so far for the Pilots. 2 walks. And then a sac fly to drive in DeMarcus Guillory from third. That pitch is on the outside corner, strike 2, and Chris Valamont seems to have suddenly found the strike zone once again, and that's a good thing. Ahead of Eli, no balls, 2 strikes. The big righty Chris Valamont on the hill. Brings the 0-2 pitch. Outside low, and the count now 1-2.
1 ball, 2 strikes.
Chris Valamont in that game against the Elmira Pioneers ended up going 3 1/3. He gave up 2 hits and 3 runs, and a swing and a miss on that one by Nick Eli. And Chris Valamont gets out of the inning, only allowing 1 run to score. 1 run, no hits. There were no Jammers errors, and a runner left on base. At the end of 1 in Newark, New York, the score is the Jamestown Jammers 1 and the Newark Pilots 1. More after this on the Jamestown Jammers Baseball Network.
When Dad needed help getting around, I became his driver. Soon enough, it was up to me to be his housekeeper and financial manager, too. When he moved in, I became his cook and even his nurse. But no matter what roles I play, I know I'm still his daughter.
We understand the roles you play. So to help, we created aarp.org/caregiving, where you can connect with experts and other caregivers. Visit aarp.org/caregiving. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Back at Colburn Park in Newark, New York, where the Jamestown Jammers and the Newark Pilots are deadlocked at 1 at the end of 1 in Game 2 of a doubleheader between these two teams. Jammers trying to wrap up what would be a very successful road trip so far, 3-0. As we have 4 games in 3 days out here on the road. And the leadoff batter will be John Conti.
John Conti.
Conti leading things off. And the pitch to him by Miller misses outside and high, ball 1. 1 ball and no strikes to the Jammers left fielder in Game 2, John Conti. The second pitch inside, skips in the dirt, flagged down by the catcher Nick Capitano, and then tossed over to the Pilots dugout. 2 balls, no strikes, the count to Conti. John did not play in Game 1 and enters the game hitting .308. This is 18th game and 12th start for Anthony Barone, and the pitch from Miller is ball 3. 3-0 to John Conti. Jordan Miller's pitch misses, ball 4. Capitano has an immediate question for the home plate umpire and gets no answer, or at least nothing that he reacted to. Jimmy Standahar steps up.
Number 29 at second base, Jimmy Standover.
Standahar at the plate, and Jimmy did not play in Game 1 as well. Getting the start at second base where he's played so well for Anthony Barone. Started in left last night against the Onondaga Flames. First pitch by Jordan Miller to him is strike 1. 0-1 the count. Runner down at first is John Conti. Nobody out. The 0-1. That's high. It's ball 1, and John Conti steals second. Conti at second with nobody out, and a 1-1 count now on Standahar. One ball, 1 strike. Conti with the lead off the bag at second. Ground ball in the hole between short and third into left field. Scooped up by left fielder Josh Loeffler, and then we have runners at the corners as Standahar down at first. Conti moves up to third. Nobody out. And Chris Steffel steps to the plate. And I guess that information hasn't made it around. Steffel, S-T-E-F-L, Chris Steffel. This is Chris's 3rd trip to the plate. He's 2 for 2 with a single and a double in his young career with the Jamestown Jammers. Pitch in the dirt, moving down to second is Jimmy Standahar. Conti keeping an eye on the throw down from Nick Capitano to see whether it was scooped up by either of the middle infielders. It was. But Standahar now up at second base. Steffel with a big opportunity. 1 ball, no strikes. Next pitch is low, ball 2. Had his first at-bat Tuesday against Adirondack and just blew my mind with the hit that he had. Yeah, it was a single, but it was just like it was launched out of a bazooka. And the hit last night at Onondaga, same kind of hit, except he put it in the gap in the right center for a double, scoring runs. And he gets a hold of that one and launches it to left center field. Catching it is Wei Chi Chen, tagging at third and coming home. It's John Conti. The Jammers have retaken the lead at 2-1. Sac fly Ribby. Chris Steffel continues to do good things for the Jamestown Jammers.
To the plate, number 13 at shortstop, Nick Burnick.
That'll bring up shortstop Nick Burnick. Trying to remember if Nick has played there. I don't think he has yet when starting for Anthony Barone. No, all 11 games he was in the field at second base, so his first game at shortstop. Jordan Miller looks back at second base to Jimmy Standahar and looks him back to the bag. Standahar gets a lead again. Swing and a miss by Nick Bernick for strike one. Jamestown Jammers and the Newark Pilots on a Thursday night game here at Colburn Park. Jammers lead 2-1. Pitch. Bernick lost one to center field. DeMarcus Guillory is underneath, tagging at second, making his way to third. Jimmy Standahar standing up. So you can count that as a sac fly to move him up to third. Third run of the game, just 90 feet away now for Chris Conley. Conley solo homer in his first at-bat back in the first.
As he steps up here in the top of the second.
Standahar at third with 2 out. Conley at the plate. Some more 2-out magic for the Jammers here. Let's see if they got it. First pitch to Conley. Sharp grounder in the hole between first and second and into right field. Coming in to score, Jimmy Standahar. And the Jammers take a 3-1 lead. So Chris Conley with a single to right and an RBI.
Now up to the plate, number 16, Chris Estrada.
Chris Estrada will step to the plate now for the Jammers. As Chris, coming into the game, had 20 ribbies. Pops this one up. Catcher gives chase, but Capitano didn't see it in the air quickly enough. And he comes up short in his attempt to catch that pop-up off the bat of Chris Estrada, so it falls for a strike and the count 0-1. No balls, 1 strike. 2 out. Runner down at first and Conley. Jammers have brought 2 across in their half of the second inning and lead at 3-1. 0-1 the count. Jordan Miller with the 0-1 pitch. Outside in the dirt. That is a ball. Conley headed down to second, slides, and he's out. Capitano throws to Orr, and that'll do it for the Jammers in their half of the second. Chris Estrada will lead things off when he comes up in the third inning. For the Jammers, they pick up a couple of runs on a couple of hits. No errors for the Pilots, and nobody left on base. We have completed 1.5 at Colburn Park in Newark, New York. The score, Jammers 3, Pilots 1 on the Jammers Baseball Network.
Today, you hit the snooze bar. You checked your email. You checked your fantasy football team. You rejected an insulting trade offer. You ate your lunch. You did all the things that one normally does the day before a 175-mile-per-hour hurricane blows through your city, leaving it in a state of ruin. You never know when the day before is the day before. Prepare for tomorrow at ready.gov/today. Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
Back at Colburn Park in Newark, New York, where the Jammers, with a 2 spot in the top of the second, have taken a 3-1 lead. Chris Valamont getting the start in Game 2 for Anthony Barone, and he'll face Nick Capitano, Matthew Lillard, and Michael O'Connor for the Pilots in their half of the second. Chris Valamont struggling a little bit in the bottom half of the first inning. Little trouble with the strike zone. Indicative of a 1-run no-hit total so far for the Pilots.
Now up to the plate, number 31, catcher Nick Capitano.
So Capitano, Lillard, and O'Connor to face Chris Valamont here.
Capitano, the Canisius catcher, threw out his Canisius teammate
Capitano
After a great defensive play to end it.
is ready to accept the first pitch from Chris Valamont. And the first pitch is over the inside corner with some decided heat. And that is strike one. No balls and one strike. Capitano has also appeared on the hill for the Newark Pilots. Well, you can shake your head, but there it is on the stat sheet. Right there, Nick Capitano.
No, I'm laughing because it was exhibition. Yeah, we threw him in for
Oh, it was just like, here, you take the ball.
First Canadian, yeah.
Gotcha.
Here you go, buddy.
All right. Capitano in one game threw an inning, by the way. Gave up 2 runs on a hit. And Chris Valamont finishes the strikeout on Capitano. 1 gone. And Matthew Lillard.
Now to the plate, number 28 in right field, Matthew Lillard.
Lillard in right field here in game 2 of the doubleheader. And Lillard did not start in game 1. First pitch is low to him, ball 1. Below the knees of the right fielder of the Pilots. 1 ball, no strike pitch on its way. Cut and a miss, and the count is even at 1-1. And that's what Valamont can do. He can bring the ball with some decided heat. He did in that case. 1-1 the count and the pitch. Cut and a foul tip into the glove of Chris Conley, and the count is now 1-2. 1 ball, 2 strikes, 1 out, nobody aboard for the Pilots in their half of the second, and the Jammers up by a score of 3-1. Right-hander Chris Valamont brings the 1-2 pitch, and that one's fouled back to the home plate netting. Anthony Barone comes out, and he'll return the ball to the Pilots. Count remains at 1-2 on Matthew Lillard. Chris Valamont on the hill, ready to bring the 1-2 pitch to Matt Lillard. Swing and a miss, strike 3. Valamont, quite frankly, blew that by him. And Michael O'Connor, the shortstop, steps up.
Now up to the plate, number 10 at shortstop, Mike O'Connor.
Mike O'Connor did play in game 1 of the doubleheader, and O'Connor went 0 for 2 in that game. So far in the inning, Valamont striking out Capitano and Lillard, and now facing O'Connor, and the first pitch to him is high, ball 1. Just above the belt, 1 ball, no strike count.
O'Connor has shown a good eye. His first
1 ball, no strike pitch from Valamont. Brings the heat and gets a strike. Counts even at 1-1. 1 ball, 1 strike. Nobody aboard, 2 out. We are in the bottom half of the second, and it's popped up by O'Connor and out of play. 1 ball, 2 strikes to the right-handed hitting shortstop. Jamestown Jammers with a couple in the top half of the second, lead at 3-1. We're in the bottom of the second, no out, or rather nobody aboard and 2 out. And Valamont's 1-2 pitch is in the dirt, blocked by Conley, and the count is even at 2 now on Michael O'Connor.
2 strikes, 2 outs from the bottom of the second of game 2 of this 2-game.
2-2 the count to O'Connor from North Tonawanda. Attending Buffalo fouls this one back over the home plate backstop. Count remains even at 2. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Valamont trying to get a clean inning out of the second here, striking out the first 2 batters. 2-2 pitch. Oh my, where was that? Valamont started to go toward the Jammers dugout, and I kind of agree with him. Now you got to understand, I have a little bit of a slighted view here as I'm somewhat down the first base line. But even at that, it looked pretty good to me. Counts full at 3-2. And Valamont's 3-2 pitch.
This one
misses. Apparently low, and it's ball 4, and walking is Michael O'Connor down to first.
Now up to the plate, number 4 at second base, Christian Orr.
And it's Christian Orr at the plate for the Newark Pilots. Orr did not play in Game 1. Christian Orr hails from Clay, Ohio, attending Saginaw Valley State. Up with a runner at first and 2 out. Bunted goes down the third baseline in decidedly foul territory, strike 1. No balls and a strike.
Smart thinking from Christian Orr, struggling at the plate, trying to lay one
Christian Orr coming into the game is 0 for 20. Here's the thing, though. At 0 for 20, he scored 6 runs. Yeah, he's walked 7 times, hit by a pitch once, struck out 7 times as well. 0-1 to count to Christian Orr. Valamont looks in. He's pitching from the stretch with a runner on base. O'Connor down at first, and he doesn't get the sign he wanted from Conley, so he steps off. No balls, 1 strike.
Saginaw Valley State University Cardinal at the dish.
And ready now for the 0-1 pitch. In the dirt, and it bounces away from Conley, and that allows O'Connor to move up to second. So a wild pitch for Chris Valamont. And now down at second base is Michael O'Connor with 2 out. And the count is even at 1 on Christian Orr. 3-1 Jammers lead. We're in the bottom of the second. Valamont looks in. From the stretch comes set. And the 1-1. Just missed high, and the count now 2-1. So Valamont got Capitano on 3 pitches. Got Lillard on, let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. O'Connor dragged that at-bat out to 7 pitches and walked. O'Connor fouls that one back. 2-2 the count.
O'Connor leads off second.
2 balls, 2 strikes. Christian Orr, rather, at the plate with that 2-2 count, and 2 out in the pitch. Rip back to the home plate netting, and the count is still 2-2.
If not for the protected net, I would have broke my
2 balls, 2 strikes, and 2 out. Valamont trying to finish this inning off. Looked like Chris was going to do a great job in doing that, and now he's run into a bit of trouble. About to make pitch number 47.
Pitch number 47 for Valamont.
2-2 pitch, swing and a miss by Orr, strike 3, and that'll do it for the Newark Pilots as Valamont strikes out the side. 1 called, 2 swinging. We have now completed 2 innings of play at Colburn Park in Game 2 of the doubleheader. Jammers 3, Pilots 1 on the Jamestown Jammers Baseball Network. Back with more right after this.
Okay, forest animals, kids are coming to the forest, and it's up to us to make their visit a good one. Sparrow, have you practiced the most popular bird songs for the year?
Of course.
Catchy. I like it. River, how's the temperature?
It's a refreshing 52 degrees, man.
I love it. Turtle.
He's not here yet, man.
He's late every morning. Okay. Squirrel.
The forest has been preparing just for you. To learn more about cool things to do in the forest, visit discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
$9 p.m. on a Thursday night. What better place to be than at a ballpark watching the PGCBL? And that's what I get to do. You'll get to do that tomorrow night when the Jamestown Jammers host the Geneva Red Wings at 7:05. Be there at Russell E. Dietrich Jr. Park and take advantage of our $5 Fridays. All seats in the park are $5. Our usual array of on-field games. Plus, we have some special giveaways. Join us then. Chris Estrada at the plate is hit by the first pitch, high up on the left shoulder. of Estrada. And he winces a little bit and then runs down to first base. So 1 pitch, 1 on. And that'll bring up Ben Brookover.
Now up, number 30, Ben Brookover.
Brookover, fly ball out that he hit deep to left center field for the second out of the first inning on a 1-1 pitch. Up now with Chris Estrada down at first base. And the first pitch is over the outside corner to Brookover, strike 1. Nice pitch by Jordan Miller to come back after hitting Chris Estrada to start the inning. 0-1 the count. Jammers up 3-1, top of the third. Chris Estrada out there on the base pass. It's a ground ball up the middle. Second baseman gets it, makes a short toss, not in time. Christian Orr to Michael O'Connor, not in time to get Chris Estrada. And so, on board on the fielder's choice is Ben Brookover.
Now up to the plate, number 2, Skylar Valentine.
And moving up to second base is Chris Estrada. Skylar Valentine will step up now with 2 on and nobody out. In the top of the third, Skylar walked back in the first. 3-1 Jammers lead. Valentine hits one that does make it out to Jordan Miller, but it hit in the right-hander's batter's box and bounced back there. So it's a foul ball and strike 1. Valentine 1 for 2 in game 1 with 2 runs scored. No balls and 1 strike, the count on Valentine. Jordan Miller, the right-handed pitcher on the hill for the Pilots. Right-handed hitter Skylar Valentine at the plate, the 0-1. That one floats in high, and the count is even in 1 ball and 1 strike.
Similar pitch to when Nick Capitano took up in
Kind of pitch that maybe Skylar would like to take a shot at, but he didn't. 1-1 the count. Estrada with a lead off a second. Not an excessively big one. Brookover down at first. He stole a base back in game 1. As back-to-back games now, Ben Brookover has stolen the base, and he came in behind Chris Estrada in game 1, and he was on his tail. Estrada had to wait. They were waiting to see if the ball fell in, but Ben Brookover was just right on top of Estrada coming across home plate. That was kind of fun to watch. Kentucky Derby kind of stuff. 1 ball, 2 strikes count on Valentine with nobody out and 2 men on. Estrada at second and Brookover down at first. 1 ball, 2 strikes. And the pitch by Miller. Curve ball ends up having the bottom drop out of it. And the count is even at 2-2 on Skylar Valentine.
Packed house here for game 2 of this doubleheader.
2 balls, 2 strikes. With 2 on and nobody out in the pitch. Up around the head of Skylar Valentine, he ducks down, and it's ball 3.
It's going to be ball 3.
Miller at times just really seems to have a command of the strike zone, and then every once in a while just kind of goes away from him. Has managed to get to a 3-2 count here on Valentine, and in danger of loading the bases with nobody out. 3 balls, 2 strikes in the pitch. And he hits Valentine, and it hit him in the back of the head there. And he is down. And you might be able to see that if you're watching on YouTube. Hayden Carter quickly in. Here's Anthony Barone, the catcher. Nick Capitano heads out to the mound. And nobody feels worse right now than Jordan Miller. Valentine's still down. Carter and Barone talking to him, and now the trainer from the pilot staff comes out. So everybody is concerned here. You got guys in the infield on their knees, including Chris Estrada, the third baseman, Nick Eli, and Ben Brookover on one knee down at second base. The rest of the infield gathered around Jordan Miller. And as I say, Jordan Miller is probably the guy that absolutely feels the worst about what just happened. I did see a bit of a smile out of the Pilots trainer, and Valentine went to get up and he still couldn't. So now the trainer is going to ask him some questions, look at the dilation of the pupils, and check to see what the status of Skylar Valentine is. Ryan Markey brings out some water in case Skylar is in a position to do that here. And trying to get him to look up. Like I say, one of the things they look at is dilation of the pupils. Now getting him to follow her finger, which she takes right and left and then up and down. And she squeezes a couple of areas there between his shoulders and his neck and asks if he gets any real pain there, and then has him look down and to his left and now down and to his right, and she asks him to turn back as she applies pressure on the left side as he's looking down to his right. And she's checking to see where Skylar feels pain. He does indicate that he does. He was hit back behind the ear, it appeared to be, around to the back part of his head. And now Anthony Barone gets down and talks to him. This certainly looks like Skylar will have this particular evening come to an end here. He gets up, and nice round of applause from the fans here at Colburn Park. And what will happen with Skylar Valentine? He's going to take a drink of water right now. We can tell you that for sure. And he wants to stay in that game. Now starts walking back toward the dugout, probably to get his helmet. Yep, they toss his helmet out from the dugout, puts it on, and goes down to first base. That's a tough customer there. Skylar Valentine stays in the game.
So Skylar Valentine going to stay in the
All right, bases loaded, nobody out. Colin Stack at the plate.
Now up to the plate, number 9, Colin Stack.
Stack, the right fielder. As we mentioned earlier, in Game 1, Stack was 1 for 3 with a run scored. Estrada at third, Brookover at second, now Valentine down at first. Stack hit a pretty deep fly ball out to right field that was flagged down by Lillard. Back in the first inning for the final out, and the first pitch by Miller misses ball 1. 1 ball and no strikes. Miller hitting 2 Jamestown Jammers in the inning, Chris Estrada and Skylar Valentine. That pitch catches inside corner, and the count's even now at 1-1. 1 ball, 1 strike. Bases loaded, nobody out. Top of the third, 3-1 Jammers lead. Jordan Miller with a 1-1. Way inside, backing Stack off the plate. And the count now is 2 balls and 1 strike. Colin Stack, coming into Game 1, was hitting .338. That pitch is just below the belt, inside. Stack disagrees, but the umpire says strike 2. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Jordan Miller seeming to get a break on that call. And the 2-2 pitch outside in the dirt gets away from catcher Capitano. Coming in to score, it'll be Chris Estrada, and everybody else moves station to station. Brookover to third, and Valentine down to second. Jammers have taken a 4-1 lead. So it happens again as wild pitches have been playing a role in this doubleheader. It's brought in a run here in the top of the third. Runners still at second and third, and nobody out.
Infield is in. Payoff pitch.
And that pitch comes inside and hits Colin Stack. And I can guarantee you that hit him on that bone down on your ankle that sticks out, and that's just like being hit in the elbow.
He's just carrying himself out there too, bro. Put your hat on.
And Jordan Miller, once again, feeling bad about the fact that he's hit somebody else in the Jammers lineup. This time it's Colin Stack. Nothing going on purpose. No doubt about that.
Scored on the wild pitch. Runners moved up to second and third. And then a hit by pitch.
Now up to the plate, number 6, John Conti.
John Conti will step up. Stack down at first. Valentine at second. Brookover at third. Nobody out. A 4-1 Jammers lead. And the first pitch in the dirt, bounces off the chest protector of Nick Capitano, keeps it in front of him, nobody advances, and it's a 1-ball, no strike count to the left-handed hitting left fielder in Game 2, John Conti.
Christian Orr backs up.
1-ball, no strike pitch, misses outside, and the count is 2 balls and no strikes.
In on the grass.
Flag about like it was at a certain point at the end of Game 1. 2-0 pitch. Capitano tries to frame it, doesn't get the call. It's ball 3. 3-0 the count.
3 balls, no strikes.
That is just like the flag right now, the way it's waving, which is coming in from left field, is like you see in those animations that they do. Just nice, lazy flag wave. The pitch to Conti was outside for ball 4, forcing in Ben Brookover, giving John Conti a ribby. And the Jammers now lead at 5-1. And so, times are not good for Jordan Miller here in the third, and that's going to be it for him, as a matter of fact, as the pitching coach for the team, Bennett Schultz, goes out and makes the change. So we'll give you some information on the way the night went for Jordan Miller, which was, I'm sure, not the way he liked it. And I think after he hit Valentine, that just, things really got to him. It just really continued to get worse for him mentally. So he has now left the game. Jimmy Standahar will be
now
at the plate.
For your Newark Pilots, number 33, Jonathan Kyle Griffin.
That was one of those 3 name guys. Jonathan Kyle Griffin. So I am told that actually it's just Kyle Griffin, but since one of the players is up here, he got one in on his teammate. Jamestown Jammers up by a score of 5-1. Single tally in the first, 2 in the second, 2 here in the third so far. And have the, boy, and there's one of the warm-up pitches in the dirt. Will Alaka and now Nick Capitano really getting a workout in tonight's contest between these two teams. Kyle Griffin, a 4.18 ERA, a 2-2 mark. This is 8th game. He has started 4 and he's thrown 23 2/3 innings. Has given up 14 runs on 27 hits, 11 of those runs earned. He's walked 12, struck out 14, faced 110 batters, the most of any pitcher on the staff, and opponents are averaging 300 with Kyle Griffin on the hill. So is it a chance for the Jammers to add on here? We will find out as the lefty Kyle Griffin is now in. At the plate, Jimmy Standahar. Bases loaded. Standahar lofts one toward right field, and that goes out of play. Strike one. Valentine down at third. Stack is at second. Conti at first. Standahar at the plate with an 0-1 count. Kyle Griffin ready to bring the 0-1 pitch. Grounded in the hole between first and second into right field. Valentine is in to score, and some more station-to-station action as the Jammers go up by a score of 6-1 and still have the bases loaded with nobody out.
Sandahar's second single, his first RBI.
So Jimmy down at first base.
Number 25, Chris Steffel.
Chris Steffel steps to the plate.
Kyle Griffin comes into this one with the 10th worst batting
Standahar 2 for 2.
Allowed 28.7% of the hits.
Stack at third. Conti at second. Standahar at first. Nobody out. Chris Steffel at the plate. Now, I'm sure there's some of the guys inside that dugout after seeing his first couple of at-bats with this team thinking, Granny. But I wouldn't necessarily worry about that. I know he can do it, but that would not be my approach in this particular case.
14 runs, 11 earned, 12 walks, 14 Ks. He's 2-2 with a save.
So it's 6-1 Jammers, and the first pitch to Steffel, and Capitano tries to frame it, and he doesn't get the call. 1 ball, no strikes.
Counts 1-0. 3 Jammers runs home in
1 ball, no strikes. Kyle Griffin ready to bring the 1 ball, no strike pitch. Left-handed sidearm, and Capitano looks back at the ump and says, where was that? Ball 2. 2 balls and no strikes. The big lefty Chris Steffel at the plate for the Jammers. 2 balls, no strikes.
Chris Steffel, already with an RBI tonight.
Steffel, it seems like everything that goes off his bat just has that crack to it. That time it went foul in the count 2-1. Steffel listed at 6'3", 215, and he has not even been at St. John's yet. Just out of high school. He's going to grow some more yet. And he chops one off the plate, off the ground, or off the mound, that is Griffin, and makes a nice little shuffle toss to the catcher Nick Capitano, and they get the lead runner Colin Stack. Steffel on board on a fielder's choice. And the Jammers still leading this game by a score of 6-1.
That jump throw looked Tim Tebow-esque.
Now to the plate, number 13, Nick Burnick.
Threw a touchdown pass on a jump throw for them. Throw from
1 out. First out of the inning recorded. Third baseman Nick Eli to the catcher Nick Capitano. I'm sorry, the pitcher, that is, Jordan. Kyle Griffin. And he makes that toss. And there's 1 gone.
1 away.
1 ball, no strikes. The count to Burnick.
Pilots trail 6-1.
1 ball, no strike pitch. Nick fouls that one down.
Nick Burnick is the 8th hitter to face Pilots pitching. 2 hits, 3 hit by pitches, a walk and a fielder's choice. The bases are full of Jammers. It's a 1-1.
Bases still loaded here. There's 1 out and a 1-1 count on Nick Burnick. That pitch is high, and that is ball 2, the count 2-1.
Ball 2.
2 balls and 1 strike. As we have Conti down at third, Standahar at second, Steffel at first. 2 balls, 1 strike. The pitch. Burnick fouls off another one down the first base line and out of play, and the count is now even at 2 on Nick Burnick.
Griffin on his innings limit. This is college Louisiana Tech, which is why
Nick Burnick on the season came into the doubleheader hitting 200. 2 balls, 2 strikes on him here. 2-2 pitch is down low and in the dirt, and a walk by Capitano. And we're now at a full count on Nick Burnick, who hit a sac fly back in the 2nd inning for the 2nd out. Innings 1, 2, and 3 for the Jammers. 1 run in the first, 2 runs in the second, 3 runs in the third.
Griffin, the payoff pitch from the stretch.
3-2 pitch is high, taken by Nick Bernick, ball 4, and that forces in another run for the Jammers, who lead at 7-1.
Standahar, Steffel will move up 90 feet. The bases are still loaded.
So Conti comes in to score. Standahar moves up to third. Steffel at second.
Now up to the plate.
Bernick down at first.
Chris Conley.
So there goes the
And Chris Conley steps up. 9th batter to the plate in the inning. Estrada started it off when he was hit by a pitch. Estrada scored, Brookover scored, Valentine, and now Conti. 7-1, Jammers lead. Conley at the plate, and the first pitch is low to him, ball 1. Conley at the plate for a second trip. Solo homer to start the game to right center field. Singled, picked up an RBI there in the second inning, and then caught stealing for the final out of the second. 1-0 the count here, bases still loaded. And the pitch. Griffin puts it right in there, and the count now is 1-1. What was that first name of Griffin? Jonathan. Jonathan Kyle Griffin on the hill. 1 ball and 1 strike to count to Chris Conley. I'll play along. Here's a high chopper off the front of the plate. Charging is the shortstop, throwing and getting Chris Conley. But another run comes in. Jimmy Standahar from third. Jammers lead it by a score of 8-1. Steffel now down at third. Bernick up to second. Conley grounds out and still makes something happen.
Now up to the plate, number 16, Chris Estrada.
Back around to the guy that started the inning, Chris Estrada. Hit by a pitch and came around to score. Estrada hit a fly ball out to Wei-Chi Chen back in the first inning, and then was hit by a pitch here in this inning. 5 runs across for the Jammers here in the third to lead at 8-1. Estrada at the plate. JKG on the hill. Jonathan Kyle Griffin, JKG. Ball 1 to Chris Estrada. Oh, okay. Now I know the real story. How his teammates found out that Jonathan was the first part of that. Nobody ever knew him other than Kyle Griffin before that. The next pitch misses inside, ball 2, and the count is 2-0. 2 out, runners at second and third. Steffel down at third. Bernick at second.
Steffel and Bernick on the base paths. It's
8 runs, 5 hits for the Jammers. 1 run, no hits for Newark. A side-arming lefty, Kyle Griffin, gets that one in there to Estrada, and the count now 2-1. 2 balls, 1 strike, 2 out, and 2 on.
Counts 2-1. There's 2 outs. There's 2
Kyle Griffin ready to bring the 2-1 pitch to Estrada. Launches that one into left center field for a base hit. Another run is in to score. That is Steffel. Here comes Bernick. And now Estrada is going to end up at third base. It's a triple for Chris Estrada, deep to left center field, scoring Steffel and Bernick and making it a 10-1 game. The Jammers have double-digit runs in 3 consecutive games now.
Now to the plate, number 30, Ben Brookover.
19 on Tuesday, 15 on Wednesday, 11 in Game 1, now 10 in Game 2. Make that 4 consecutive games. That's kind of a bizarre thing that in looking at this season, I never expected that. I'm pleasantly surprised. Ben Brookover takes ball 1 and the count 1-0. Estrada at third with 2 out. 7 runs in here in the third. 1-0 pitch. Big cut and a miss by Ben. And the count evens up at 1-1. Ben Brookover with the home run to straightaway center field back in Game 1. And so far in this game. He reached on a fielder's choice earlier this inning. A fly ball out back in the first to Wei Chi-chen. 1-1 pitch. Off-speed delivery, Ben way out in front of it, and the count now 1-2. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
1 ball, 2 strikes.
I don't know if Valamon has a jacket on in the dugout, but he's been in the dugout for a long time here. With the Jammers sending 11 batters to the plate. 1-2 the count. And the pitch. Brookover slaps it foul down the first base line. Count still 1-2. Be interesting to see how Valamon comes out here in the bottom of the third. Jordan Miller gave up 7 runs. Griffin has given up 3. 1 ball, 2 strikes. 2 out the pitch. That's low and outside 2. And the count now 2-2 on Ben Brookover.
Chris Estrada leads off third.
Estrada was hit. So was Valentine. And so as they say, Skylar Valentine's night has come to an end. And send up Christian Deaton. I was actually amazed that Valentine went out on the bases. He did come around to score, but I think they did the right thing here. Precaution in the case of Skylar Valentine. Christian Deaton with a chance here.
Griffin from the stretch fires.
First pitch misses inside low, ball 1. Now I would think what will happen here is Conti will probably move to center. Deaton will go into left then, once this gets settled out in the field. Still another out to get before we find out what's going on there. That one's on the inside corner, just above the knees, taken by Deaton, and strike 1 called, and the count's even at 1. Christian Deaton, left-handed hitter. Christian in game 1 of the doubleheader went 1 for 3 and scored a run. 1-1 pitch, high. And that is ball 2 to Christian Deaton. 10-1 Jammers lead. We're in the top of the third inning in game 2 of a doubleheader here at Colburn Park. 2 7-inning games. Jonathan Kyle Griffin at the hill brings that one in, and that was one where Capitano turned and asked the umpire that was. Don't know what answer he got, but he called it ball 3. The count is Jonathan Kyle Griffin did have his best night out there, to be sure. And Chris Valamont's weight on the bench continues to stretch out. I'll give you Kyle Griffin's numbers in a second here. So the normal left fielder of the Pilots, John Ballier, comes in to pitch. Well, if he can pitch like he plays left field, this should be good for the Pilots. Plays an outstanding left field, no doubt about that.
John
Ballier is actually in his 6th game. 6 2/3 pitched up to this point. 7 hits, 7 runs, 6 of those earned. Opponents averaging .259 with John Ballier in the hill. The lefty. And the first pitch to Stack right over the outside corner, strike one. I'm sure Capitano is ready to celebrate as he gets a strike thrown at him. The second pitch, Stack fouls that off over the dugout of the Pilots, and quickly Ballier's ahead. No balls and 2 strikes. 2 out. Bases loaded again for the Jammers. Estrada at third, Brookover at second, Deaton down at first. 0-2 pitch, off-speed delivery, and checking his swing is Colin Stack for ball 1. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
1 ball, 2 strikes, 2 outs. Stack the hitter. Still in the top of the third. 1-2.
1-2 to Colin Stack. He fouls off another one over the Pilots dugout, and the count is still 1-2.
4 walks, 3 hits.
Estrada started the inning hit by a pitch, and it's just been rolling on since then. 7 runs across here in the top of the third. Jammers up 10-1. Ballier's pitch. Outside low, ball 2. So I'm sure there's any number of people that are saying, can we throw a strike? 2-2 the count here with 2 out. 2-2 pitch. Inside corner, strike 3 called. Amen, hallelujah. The Pilots fans celebrate. For the Jammers, they scored 10 runs in the inning, and there were 2 hits for those 10 runs. A single by Standahar and a triple for Estrada. Everything else was just kind of station to station kind of stuff for the Jammers. 10 runs total now for the Jammers as they bring 7 across here in the top of the third. We have completed 2.5 in the score. Jammers 10, Pilots 1. Back with more after this on the Jammers Baseball Network.
Hi, I'm Layla Ali. I might be undefeated in professional boxing, but there's one problem I can't fight alone: childhood hunger. 17 million kids in America struggle with it. That's why the Feeding America nationwide network of food banks gathers surplus food and gets it to hungry kids. Join me in supporting Feeding America and your local food bank at feedingamerica.org.
To help solve hunger in your community and to find your local food bank, visit feedingamerica.org. Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
Let's see what kind of shape Chris Valamont's arm is in. As we go to the bottom of the third, it's been around a half hour, 35 minutes since he pitched last. So we'll see how he's doing. Meanwhile, there's a substitution behind the plate. Connor Rule comes in to catch now. Chris Conley's night has come to a conclusion, and rightfully so. Anthony Barone thinking about saving him for those Red Wings coming to Russell E. Dietrich Jr. Park tomorrow night. It'll be the top of the order for the Pilots in the bottom of the third. DeMarcus Guillory, Wei Chi-Chen, and Pete Battaglia. Connor Rule behind the plate. And we'll see how
Now
the bottom of the third goes.
Number 12, DeMarcus Guillory.
Guillory back in the first inning walked off of Valamont and scored the lone Pilots run. 10-1 Jammers lead. Chris Valamont throwing to Connor Rule now. Cut and a miss, strike one.
Back throwing as hard as ever. Fires a straight past Marcus Guillory.
So apparently that weight in the dugout. Well, we'll see how this works out as it goes along. I know I would not have wanted to have been in that position, having to sit that long as a starter. Almost like a rain delay kind of thing. 0-1 pitch on its way. Valamont right on the outside corner, strike two. Maybe that time off did him some real good. Jeez. Comes out and he's ahead of DeMarcus Guillory 0-2.
Guillory, the hitter, walked and stole third and scored a run.
No balls and 2 strikes. 0-2 pitch, cut and a miss, strike 3. Some high heat. He couldn't catch up with it, and there's one gone here in the bottom of the third. Wei Chi Chen steps to the plate with nobody aboard and one out.
Number 11, Wei Chi Chen.
Wei Chi Chen comes to the hill.
Chen was a strikeout victim, a 3-2 count, and Valamont got him to swing and miss back in the first inning. First pitch misses outside, a bit high 2, and the count 1 ball, no strikes. 1-0 the count.
Chris Connolly nice over. Matt Cross playing first base.
1-0 pitch, right down the middle, and the count evens at 1. Another change did happen. Ben Brookover's night's done too, as he has been replaced by Cross down at first. Swing and a miss, strike 2. Wei Chi Chen is now behind, 1 ball and 2 strikes with 1 out, nobody aboard. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Valamont getting the sign from Connor Rule. And the 1-2 pitch, swing and a miss, strike 3. He struck out Chen 2 times. And that'll bring up Pete Battaglia.
Now up to the plate, number 78, Peter Battaglia.
Two gone, both via the strikeout swinging, and Pete Battaglia tried to bring that to an end. He walked back in the first. Swing and a miss. Valamont bringing the stuff right now. 0-1 the count.
That's what I'd be doing. I'd be swinging for the fence right now.
No balls, 1 strike. 2 out, nobody aboard. Jammers 10, Pilots 1. In the third inning. 0-1 pitch. Inside, and it does brush the jersey of Pete Battaglia. That'll count as a hit batsman, and he's down at first. Josh Loeffler will step to the plate.
Now up to the plate, number 5, Josh Loeffler.
Loeffler, the DH in tonight's game, sac fly to right field that brought home DeMarcus Guillory with the only Newark run in the game. Chris Valamont on the hill with 2 out and a runner at first. First pitch to Loeffler, cut and a miss, strike 1. No balls and a strike to the right-handed hitting DH, Josh Loeffler, who came into the doubleheader hitting .286. This is his 5th start for the Pilots. 0-1 the count. Valamont's 0-1 pitch. Connor Rule tried to pull that one up into the strike zone. No success. Counts even at 1-1. 1 ball, 1 strike. Battaglia had his jersey brushed, and that counts as a hit by pitch. He's down at first. Valamont, I'm sure, would like to strike out the side here in the third, but have to get another one on Loeffler here. 1-1 the count in the pitch. And he does. A cut and a miss, strike 2. No balls and 2 strikes. Chris Valamont, that was pitch number 59. And he struck out 7. so far.
Looks in, working.
1 ball, 2 strikes, 2 out. And now time called as Loeffler steps out. 10 runs on 6 hits for the Jammers. A run on no hits for the Pilots.
1 ball, 2 strikes, 2 outs. The pitch.
1-2 pitch. Count and miss, strike 3. That'll do it. Loeffler strikes out, and Valamont strikes out the side. That time in the dugout paid off, apparently. No runs, no hits, no errors. A runner left to score at the end of 3. Jammers 10, Pilots 1 on the Jammers Baseball Network.
I'm more resourceful than I thought.
My suit can still make an impression.
My video games are still game changers.
And my lamp can bring others a bright future.
Because when I donate my stuff to Goodwill,
it helps fund job placement and training for people right in my community.
Now my stuff gets a second chance.
And will give someone in my community
a second chance too.
Goodwill. Donate stuff, create jobs. Find your nearest donation center at goodwill.org. That's goodwill.org. This message brought to you by Goodwill and the Ad Council.
Jamestown Jammers in Newark, New York at Colburn Park taking on the Newark Pilots in Game 2 of a doubleheader. And it looks as though we'll be able to get through this with no precipitation falling on us. It's managed to get almost to the point where if the Jammers are coming to town, the rain's coming with us, so it seems, as we had rain before the game today, but not enough to cause any particular problems. We did start on time, and everything is rolling right along. Jammer's schedule will be back on keel after this. John Conti will lead off here in the top of the 4th.
Now up, number 6, John Conti.
Conti at the plate. John Ballier on the hill.
John Conti at the dish. Ballier still on to pitch. The first pitch, lefty match.
First pitch, and it's fouled back into the bleacher area down the third base line behind the Jammers dugout. Strike 1.
For 7 runs in the top of the 3rd.
Next pitch just misses low outside, and the count is now 1-1 on John Conti. It's been a pretty good trip for just about everybody in the Jammers roster this time out. 4 games in 3 days, leading this one 10-1. Have scored double digits in every game. 2-1 the count to Conti in the pitch. That's ripped into right field in the hole between first and second. Conti's aboard. Leadoff man's on for Jimmy Standahar. Standahar at the plate for a 3rd trip. He's 2 for 2 so far, plus he has an RBI, and he scored twice.
Now up to the plate, number 29, Jimmy Standahar.
Jimmy Standahar at the plate.
Standahar at the plate now.
He has singled twice.
Jimmy Standahar, by the way, with our player profiles on YouTube, the leading view getter with 189, ahead of even Chris Conley. First pitch to Standahar misses, ball 1. 1 ball, no strikes. Conti down at first with nobody out. Jammers 4th with the Jammers ahead 10-1. Next pitch is low, ball 2. John Ballier trying to keep the Newark Pilots within 9 at this point. Misses inside, ball 3. And this is a theme that the Pilots did not want, that is, to have repeated tonight, and that's trouble with the strike zone. 3-0 here to Standahar. And the 3-0 pitch. That one's right down the middle, taken by Jimmy, as he should on a 3-0 count, and the count is now 3-1. 3 balls, 1 strike. Chris Steffel on deck. 3-1 pitch on its way. This one's ripped to right center field. It gets down, and it's going to go all the way to the wall. On his way to third, being waved home, is John Conti, stopping at second. Standahar. Conti in, standing up. And Standahar stays at second base with the RBI double. Deep to right center field going the opposite way. And the Jammers lead 11-1.
Conti has scored his third run in as many at-bats. Standahar drives in his second run.
Chris Steffel will step up. Steffel, sac fly to left fielder
Chris Steffel.
Wai Chi Chen. Back in the second inning. Fielder's choice in the third came around to score. 11-1, Jammers lead. The pitch. Ooh, big cut by Chris Steffel. He missed that one. Strike one. Steffel was trying to launch one over the fence there, and he missed. No balls and 1 strike to count. Next pitch misses outside. Capitano tried to pull it back into the strike zone, but nothing doing. Counts even at 1. 1 ball, 1 strike. Runner at second, Jimmy Standahar, nobody out. A run in for the Jammers so far, and there's another one that's ripped and caught by the shortstop. Throw to second. It's a double play. Great play by Michael O'Connor at short. And he throws to Christian Orr, steps on the bag, and gets rid of Standahar. 2 gone.
He then tossed it to Christian Orr covering second for the out.
So the Pilots with a nice double play there.
Nick Burnett.
Shown off by Mike O'Connor. Made 1 out into a double. There's 2 away.
At the plate, it is Nick Burnick, and the first pitch to him is ball 1. One ball, no strikes, 2 out, nobody aboard now. It cleans things up. That one misses high and outside, some heat from Ballier, and the count is now 2-0. 2 balls, no strikes. The pitch on its way to Burnick, right down the pipe, taken by Nick, strike 1. Two and 1 the count with 2 out, nobody aboard. 11-1 Jammers lead. The pitch by Ballier, foul tipped, and takes the mask off of the home plate ump. It is strike 2, and the count is now even at 2. By the way, Skylar Valentine came back down along the line there before the Jammers went out into the field there for the third inning, and he had a ice bag applied to the back of his head. That's where he was hit, and that's certainly a good idea to try to keep the swelling down for sure. 2-2 the count here to Burnick. 2 out, nobody aboard. 2-2 pitch. Curveball in the 12-4 category. Not quite 12-6, 12-4. And he gets Nick Burnick called out on strikes. Jammers score another one, and they get 2 hits in the inning. No errors for the Pilots, and nobody left on base. At the end of 3.5 to score, Jammers 11, Pilots 1 on the Jamestown Jammers Baseball Network.
Penswood.net Classifieds offers the freshest, most recent classified ads available with over 1,500 new ads each day. If you're looking for a reliable used vehicle, check out the multiple ads daily on Penswood.net Classifieds. From cars, trucks, RVs, and motorcycles, you can scan the ads at Penswood.net at any time of the day or night and find something that fits your needs. Looking for household items, student housing, or even a new pet? Penswood.net Classifieds has it. Penswood.net, where you can buy, sell, or trade locally.
Back at Colburn Park in Newark, New York, Jamestown Jammers 11, Newark Pilots 1, Game 2 of a doubleheader, 2 7-inning games. And the Jammers sailing along here. Chris Valamont Gave up a run in the bottom half of the first inning, but has shut the door on the Pilots in the second and third, and we'll try to keep that going as we move along. Some changes out there, of course, that we told you about. Deaton went into left, Conti to center. And now in at second base for the Jamestown Jammers as Jimmy Standahar's night comes to an end. Ryan Markey will take over there. Bernick still at short. Matt Cross down at first.
Number 7, Nick Eli.
Nick Eli starts things off for the Pilots.
Still on the mound, throwing a no-hitter. Has struck out 8 of the 9 Pilots hitters in the first.
Chris Valamont. First pitch popped up over the home plate backstop and out of play. Strike one.
For the Jamestown Jammers. Jimmy Standahar moves to right, and Ryan Markey comes in to play second base. So Colin Stack's night is over.
So Stack is actually taken out of the game. I can't see right field, so that's part of the problem I have here in my position at Newark. So that's what happened. Standahar moving out to right field. 1-1 the count here. That one's popped up and out of play, and the count now 1-2 on Nick Eli. Chris Valamont, 1 ball, 2 strikes the count. Has not given up a hit yet to the Newark Pilots. That one's high, and the count evens at 2. 2-2 the count. Anthony Barone trying to rest some of his key players for that big game tomorrow night against Geneva. 2-2 pitch is off the webbing of the catcher's mitt of Connor Rule for ball 3 as it bounces back to the backstop. 3 balls, 2 strikes. Nick Eli, the leadoff batter here in the bottom of the 4th inning. Eli 0 for 1, a strikeout victim back in the first, up here in the 4th. 3-2 pitch, fouled off again. Nick Eli is very much pestering Chris Valamont here in this first batter faced in the bottom half of the 4th inning. See if Valamont can put him away here. The payoff pitch is low and outside, ball 4. So it's a walk for Nick Eli, and Nick Capitano steps up, the catcher for the Newark Pilots.
Now up to the plate, number 31, Nick Capitano.
He struck it out 5 times in 6
Valamont has walked 4 and struck out 8 so far in the ball game. Capitano at the plate. And Chris Valamont has to wait until Nick steps in, taking his time getting set there.
Looking for his first hit of the summer.
Chris Valamont taking a look back at Eli and then comes to the plate. Foul tipped into the glove of Connor Rule, strike 1. No balls and a strike to the right-handed hitting catcher Nick Capitano. He's had an ongoing dialogue with the home plate ump on some balls and strikes over the course of this game. 0-1 the count. Cut and a miss, strike 2. Yikes. Valamont just threw that right by him. Alex O'Donnell down there in the bullpen throwing. Alex has been on the hill for the Jammers this season. I don't see any problem with Valamont at the moment. Maybe he's just trying to stay loose down there. You never know. 0-2 the count here. Chris Valamont trying to get the final strike. Capitano swings and misses, strike 3. Eli down at first base with 1 out, and Matthew Lillard steps to the plate. Matt struck out swinging for the second out of the second.
Now up to the plate, number 28, Matthew Lillard.
Lillard at the plate with 1 out and the runner down at first. Left-handed hitter, righty on the hill, Chris Valamont.
From the stretch, the pitch.
First pitch to him. In the dirt, bounces off the chest protector of Connor Rule, but no advance by Nick Eli. and it's ball one. Connor Rule goes out. I don't know if they had their signs mixed up a little bit there or not, but maybe just trying to take a break there. Connor Rule heads out, and Matthew Lillard and the home plate umpire wait for the return of Connor Rule. He's back. It's a 1-0 count on Lillard, and Vallemont is set and ready to go. Matthew Lillard. He has one of those shin protectors on his right shin. 1-0 the count. Vallemont's 1-0 pitch. High, ball two, and the count 2-0. 2 balls, no strikes. If you missed game one, you missed a Jammers 11-9 win. Jammers with 11 runs here in game two, leading 11-1 in the bottom of the fourth. 2-0 the count to Lillard. Chris Vallemont with a 2-0 pitch. Fouled off over the Jammers dugout area. Count out 2-1. 2 balls, 1 strike, 1 out. Nick Eli had the leadoff walk, and then Capitano struck out swinging. Lillard at the plate, the count 2-1. Chris Vallemont brings the 2-1. Smack to right field, and this one gets down. Standahar cannot get it. Rounding second on his way to third is Eli, and pulling into second base with a double is Matthew Lillard. The first hit of the ball game for the Newark Pilots is a double to right field by Matthew Lillard. Runners at second and third with 1 out for Michael O'Connor. The shortstop, O'Connor walked.
Now up to the plate, number 10, Michael O'Connor.
He walked back in the second and advanced to second on a wild pitch. O'Connor at the plate now with runners at second and third and 1 out.
Lillard and Eli on second and third.
Now a run and a hit for the Pilots as we play on in the bottom of the fourth. Vallemont's pitch high inside 2, and the count is ball 1 and no strikes. Michael O'Connor at the plate. Local product, North Tonawanda. 1-0 the count. And the pitch to him by Vallemont over the head of Connor Rule, and Nick Eli comes in to score. So a wild pitch over the head of his catcher from Chris Vallemont. Lillard moves up to third, and the count is 2-0 on Michael O'Connor. So Chris Vallemont with a wild pitch, bringing one in. 11-2 now the score. Vallemont will try to get back on track here with O'Connor. 2 balls, no strikes, and the pitch. Right down the pipe, taken by O'Connor, and the count now 2-1. Casey Vincent now loosening in the Jammers bullpen as well. What O'Donnell was doing was more of a long toss kind of thing. 2-1 pitch on its way from Vallemont is high, ball 3. Now 3-1 to Michael O'Connor. Single tally for the Pilots back in the bottom of the first, and 1 across here in the fourth. 11-2 Jammers lead.
3 balls, 1 strike, 1 out.
3-1 the count. Runner at third base is Matthew Lillard. 3-1 pitch is off the webbing of the catcher's mitt of Connor Rule, allowing Matthew Lillard to come in and score another wild pitch, bringing in a runner.
Don't call it a comeback just yet, but the Pilots have 2 runs in the bottom of the fourth.
So 2 runs are across, and Michael O'Connor goes down to first base on ball 4. Christian Orr steps up with a runner at first and 1 out. And Hayden Carter, Jammers pitching coach, on his way out to talk to Chris Vallemont. He looks at the bullpen on his way out there as Casey Vincent continues to loosen. Vincent served as the DH in Game 1.
Christian Orr gonna go down.
and may be called in here in game 2.
Coach Franklin Bush.
Connor Rule, Hayden Carter, and Chris Valamont meeting out there in the hill.
Tyler Odekirks was at 0 for 15 when he got his first.
Home plate umpire comes out. Carter starts toward the Jammers dugout. Rule returns to his position behind the plate. And stepping up, it's Christian Orr, the second baseman. Christian Orr, a strikeout victim for the final out of the second inning. Strikeout would be handy here. Just one out in the bottom of the fourth, and Orr, the fifth batter, to come up.
Christian Orr.
The hitter is Christian Orr against Chris Valamont.
Eli started the inning with a walk. He was wild pitched home. Lillard moved up to third on the wild pitch after he hit the double. And then he came in on a wild pitch. O'Connor walked. He's down at first, and the first Valamont pitch is high, ball 1.
11 runs, 8
1 ball and no strikes.
visiting Jamestown Jammers. 3 runs, 1 hit for the home Newark Pilots. We're in the
11, 8, and 0 for the Jammers. 3-1 and 0 for the Pilots. 1-0 the count. That's on Christian Orr, swing and a miss, and the count is 1-1. 1 ball, 1 strike with a runner at first and 1 out. Christian Orr at the plate. Christian, as we mentioned before, from Clay, Ohio. 1-1 the count.
In Clay High School. The 1-1. Valamont steps off.
1 ball, 1 strike, 1 out.
Just graduated a few weekends ago. Will be heading to Saginaw Valley State in the fall.
Valamont takes his time and now brings the 1-1. Cut and a miss, strike 2. 1 ball, 2 strikes. The count on Christian Orr. Chris Valamont has had the strikeout stuff in the game. He struck out 9, but he's also walked 5, and now he's thrown 3 wild pitches. A mixed bag, if you will, for Chris Valamont through 4. And that one is outside and goes all the way to the backstop, and that allows Michael O'Connor to get to second base on yet another wild pitch.
Yeah, third wild pitch of the inning.
4 total wild pitches on the night for Chris Valamont. 2-2 the count. 1 out. O'Connor at second.
It's the 5th wild pitch of the night from him. O'Connor
2 balls, 2 strikes. Valamont ready to bring the 2-2 pitch.
Thought about it.
Checked his swing. Boy, that was close to going around. No appeal, though, by Connor Rule. So the count is 3-2.
The youngsters see another pitch.
3 balls, 2 strikes. Valamont grabs a handful of dirt there before he gets ready to throw the 3-2 pitch to Christian Orr, with O'Connor at second and 1 out.
The payoff pitch is
3-2 pitch fouled back to the netting of the home plate backstop, and the count remains full at 3-2.
Christian Orr has been on base 8 times this year.
Vincent continues to throw in the Jammers' pen. He will no doubt be next. 3 balls, 2 strikes. Jammers up by 8 to score 11-3 here in the bottom of the 4th inning. 3 balls, 2 strikes. Valamont resets. Has the sign from Connor Rule. And here comes the 3 ball, 2 strike pitch. It's high, ball 4. And we'll see how long the leash is for Chris Valamont. Anthony Barone kicks back in his chair. So he's
now
going
to the plate, number 12, DeMarcus Guillory.
Faces center fielder DeMarcus Guillory. Guillory walked and ended up coming around to score back in the 1st inning. A strikeout victim in the 3rd. 1 out, 2 on the pitch. Grounded foul down the 3rd baseline. Strike 1. A noisy chopping strike down the 3rd baseline. Estrada tosses it back to Chris Valamont. He looked at the home plate umpire to see if he wanted to exchange balls, but nothing was forthcoming, so Chris says, okay, I'll use this one. No balls, 1 strike, and 1 out. 2 runners on, O'Connor down at second or down at first, both via the walk, getting on base. There was a double in the inning by Matthew Lillard. He has since come in to score. 0-1 pitch. This one's fouled back to the home plate backstop and the rubber netting that is out there. Good stuff. Protects the baseballs. 0-2 the count.
Then Jamestown got 2 in the second, 7 in the third, 1 in the top of the fourth. Pilots have answered with 2.
No balls, 2 strikes, 1 out. Valamont trying to get DeMarcus Guillory here. And before he gets into his motion, time called. Grabs a handful of dirt, hitches up the pants, and gets ready to throw a no-ball, 2-strike count pitch to DeMarcus Guillory. Valamont looks back at the runner at second. O'Connor comes to the plate. O'Connor goes, and he gets into third safely. I'm going to say that's a defensive indifference there, because Connor Rule had the ball and never even thought about throwing. His attention was riveted on Christian Orr. So Christian Orr still down at first, O'Connor at third, and a 1-ball, 2-strike count on DeMarcus Guillory. That one's high. Now this one's thrown away by Connor Rule into center field. That will allow O'Connor to score and Orr to move up to third, and it's 11-4 now.
And it's 11-4.
So the wild, zany game continues, and the count's 2-2 on DeMarcus Guillory.
Led to a Michael O'Connor run, and then Orr heads to third.
Crazy stuff. 1 out. 1 ball, 2, or make that 2-2 the count. Vincent is ready if needed. 2-2 pitch. That's low, and it's ball 3, and the count now 3-2. 1 runner on right now. That is Christian Orr. He's down at third. DeMarcus Guillory at the plate with a 3-2 count. Casey Vincent, as a matter of fact, is in from the bullpen, leaning on the railing of the Jammers dugout, and Anthony Barone's up out of his chair.
The run scores on the error.
I pretty well guarantee you this is going to be it for Valamont as he prepares to throw pitch number 92. 3-2 pitch, inside low, ball 4, and that'll be it for Chris Valamont. Such a mixed bag as far as his statistics for the night, as he walks 7, strikes out 9, hit a batter, but he threw 4 wild pitches that I have. Once again, my stuff's all unofficial. 19 batters faced by Valamont. To this point has given up 4 runs on just 1 hit. And Casey Vincent is ready to go. Connor Rule comes out and has a quick chat with him. Wai-Chi Chen will be up to bat after Casey Vincent throws his warm-up tosses.
Now on the pitch for the Jammers, Casey Vincent.
St. Bonaventure product Casey Vincent on the hill now, replacing Chris Valamont. And, of course, that was something that you knew was going to happen. As I say, I mean, you had Vincent already in from the bullpen, leaning on the railing, ready to go. And you had Anthony Barone standing up, so you knew that Chris Valamont's night was done after DeMarcus Guillory, and that's exactly the way that went. So Casey Vincent comes in to replace Chris Valamont. And on the season for Casey Vincent, this will be appearance number 7 for Casey. 4.50 ERA, a 1-1 record. Has thrown 8 innings, given up 8 hits, 7 runs, 4 of those earned. Walked 4, struck out 12. He's given up 1 double, faced 36 batters, and opponents are averaging 267 with Casey Vincent on the hill. So Wai-Chi Chen steps up, see if he can keep it going. By the way, Chen, in his second game against the Jamestown Jammers, went 2 for 4 in the other game that he played against us.
twice against Chris Vallimont. Casey Vincent is the
now up to the plate, number 10, Wei Chi Chen.
Vallimont out of the game, 6'5" flamethrower.
Wei Chi Chen at the plate.
Hitter is Wei Chi Chen. Pitch.
And the first pitch is on the inside corner from Casey Vincent, strike one. Vincent had his attention suddenly diverted over toward first base where DeMarcus Guillory is. 0-1 the count with one out. And runners at the corners. Jammers lead cut to 7, 11-4. Wei Chi Chen pops up. Left fielder Christian Deaton comes in, makes the catch, and the throw comes in and cut off by Nick Bernick, the shortstop. Sac fly for Wei Chi Chen. And there are now 2 gone in the Pilots half of inning number 4.
Number 78, Peter Battaglia.
Or driven in by the sac fly off the bat of Wei Chi Chen. Pete Battaglia steps up now. This will be Peter's 3rd trip to the plate. Walked and hit by a pitch and pops up. Coming in, Matt Cross. He'll make the catch in fair territory. First ball swinging, Pete Battaglia pops out to Matt Cross to end the inning. Good Lord, some crazy stuff going on here at this ball game in Newark. For the Pilots, they score 4 runs. They did that on 1 hit. There were a total of 4 walks in the inning, all from Chris Vallimont. There was 1 runner left on base and no Jammers errors. No, there was one. That's right. Connor Rule's throw down to second was ruled an error, as it should have been. Score now at the end of 4 is Jammers 11, Pilots 5 on the Jammers Baseball Network.
A boy born in Joplin, Missouri was fascinated by anything with wheels and a motor. The odds of him going on to fascinate millions with his talent, 1 in 260,000. The odds of him having 15 career NASCAR victories, 1 in 1.7 million. The odds of a child being diagnosed with autism, 1 in 68. I'm Jamie McMurray, and my niece has autism. Learn more at autismspeaks.org/signs. Brought to you by Autism Speaks and the Ad Council.
Back at Colburn Park in Newark, New York, Jammers leading 11-5, and Connor Rule will start things off for the Jammers in their half of the 5th. 7-inning game, 3 more innings to go in regulation, and the first pitch to Connor Rule from Ballier is strike 1. He'll be followed by Chris Estrada and then Matt Cross. Next pitch is high and the count's even at 1-1.
3 RBIs. Had an RBI in each of his 3
Anthony Barone trying to give some of his regular starters a break here. At the time we were up 11-1 and he made the changes, and the 4 runs did not come across because of that. It was just a pitching anomaly off the arm of Chris Vallimont. Cut and a miss by Connor Rule, and the count's even at 2 now. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Rule the leadoff batter here in the top half of the 5th inning. Jammers up 11-5. Rule ready to go. Break-even pitch is in the dirt about 6 inches in front of the plate, and the count now 3-2. Ballier now has been out on the hill for a while for the Newark Pilots. Pitch is high and outside, ball 4. So he was ahead of Connor Rule and he ended up losing him. Leadoff man's on for the Jammers. Ballier with an inning and a third under his belt at this point. Chris Estrada comes to the plate with Connor Roll down at first and nobody out. Estrada, fly ball out to Wei-Chi Chen, back in the first. Hit by a pitch and scored in the third, tripled in the third. Yeah, he came to bat 2 times in the third inning when the Jammers brought 7 across. First pitch to him, a ball. And Ballier makes a toss over to first base, roll back safely. On deck batter is Matt Cross. One thing that did happen as Estrada pops this one up, and that one's out of play, and the count is now 1-1. All of the core guys now are being rested, and that would be Chris Conley. Well, Chris Estrada's the one guy that hasn't been given a break. But you got Conley out, you got Brookover out, Valentine's out, and so is Stack. Now, Valentine's out for a completely different reason. He was hit by a pitch, and that was in the area behind the ear flap on the helmet. And he did go back out after that happened, finished his turn around the bases, but then was replaced in the bottom half of the third inning. Line drive toward the shortstop. O'Connor goes to Orr for 1, back to first. It's a double play.
6-4-3 double play.
So Connor Rule erased, as well Chris Estrada grounding out into the 6-4-3 double play.
Now up to the plate, number 21, Matt Cross.
So Matt Cross comes to the plate for his first trip in Game 2 of the doubleheader. 11-5, Jammers lead. We're in the top of the 5th inning.
That'll bring up Matt Cross. Took over for Ben Brooks.
First pitch outside in the left-hander's batter's box, bounces up. Snagged by Nick Capitano. Ball 1.
Singled and scored a run and walked. And then flew out.
1 ball, no strikes. 2 out the pitch. Cross lofts one that's going to be caught by second baseman Christian Orr for the final out of the top half of the 5th inning. For the Jammers, no runs across, no hits, no errors for the Pilots, nobody left, despite the fact that Connor Rule did walk to start the inning. We have now completed 4.5 here at Colburn Park, and the score, Jammers 11, Pilots 5 on the Jammers Baseball Network.
Chris, you're not acting like a grown-up in our relationship.
Am too.
There's your comic book collection, the race car bed.
I'm young at heart, but I put money into my 401k every paycheck. I'm taking control over my financial life, and that feels pretty grown-up to me.
Put away a few bucks, feel like $1 million. For free ideas and easy ways to save, go to feedthepig.org. That's feedthepig.org. Are those footy pajamas?
This message brought to you by the American Institute of Certified Public Accountants and the Ad Council.
Top of the 5th inning, first time the Jammers went 3 up, 3 down, and that was courtesy of a double play that was turned O'Connor to Orr to Battaglia. Casey Vincent continues on the hill. He'll face Josh Loeffler, Nick Eli, and Nick Capitano. Loeffler will be at the plate for a 3rd trip. Sac fly to the right fielder Colin Stack at the time for the 2nd out of the 1st, and he struck out swinging in the 3rd. Casey Vincent in relief of Chris Vallemont.
Now to bat for your Pilots, the DH, Josh Loeffler.
It'll be Josh Loeffler.
Loeffler at the plate, leadoff batter.
It's on Matthew Lillard here in the bottom of the 5th for the Pilots.
You guys are having way too much fun, you know. The Pilots crew having some fun in the press box, and there's nothing wrong with that. First pitch to Josh Loeffler, a ball from Casey Vincent. 1 ball, no strikes. 1-0 delivery. Hit in the air to right field. Going back is Standahar, and he's unable to get to it. Up to second base goes Josh Loeffler, leadoff double for the Newark Pilots, and they continue to try to get back into this game, trailing by 6, but the leadoff man's on second base with a double. And that'll bring up Nick Eli.
5th hit of the year, 3rd extra base hit.
Now up to the plate, number 7.
Loeffler now 1 for 2 on the evening in Game 2 of the doubleheader. He did not play in Game 1. Completely different look for the Pilots in Game 2. Nick Eli at the plate, fouls off the first Casey Vincent pitch, strike 1. No balls and 1 strike. Channeling his inner Jacob deGrom, we'd have to hope. 0-1 the count. And the man with the long locks brings it outside and low, and the count's even at 1. 1 ball and 1 strike. And there is activity in the Jammers bullpen.
Casey Vincent, designated hitter in Game 1. Now
1 ball, 1 strike, the count to Eli. 1-1 pitch is high and outside. Connor Rule held it there, but that was in both categories, high and outside. There was no way he could do anything with that to bring that back into the strike zone. 2-1 the count, the pitch. Outside low, ball 3, 3-1. And it is Colin Johnston warming up again in the Jammers bullpen. 3 balls and 1 strike. Casey Vincent in relief of Chris Valamont. The 3-1 pitch. Line foul down the right field line, and the count now 3-2. Noisy strike off the bat of Nick Eli.
Full count to Nick Eli. Walk on a full count his last time.
Casey Vincent trying to get Eli at the plate. Runner at second, Loeffler. Nobody out. We're in the bottom of the 5th. 11-5 Jammers lead. Payoff pitch.
Outside.
Looked like it caught the outside corner, but not getting the call was Casey Vincent, and it's a walk to Eli. Runners at first and second. Nobody out for Nick Capitano.
Now up to the plate, number 31, Nick Capitano.
All 6 have been strikes.
Anthony Barone, I believe, verbally disagreeing with the home plate umpire. Capitano at the plate, called out on strikes in the 2nd, and struck out swinging in the 4th. Only looking at 3 pitches each time at the plate. First pitch to him's on that outside corner, strike 1 called. No balls and 1 strike to Nick Capitano. Runner down at second base, Josh Loeffler led off the inning with a double to right field that Standahar could not get to. Eli walked, he's down at first. 0-1 pitch is outside in the dirt. Connor Rule with a nice block of that. Count evens at 1-1. 1 ball, 1 strike with nobody out. It's kind of like the Navy. It's not a job, it's an adventure. That's the way this game's turning out, like the first game was. Outside low, ball 2, count 2-1. Two balls, 1 strike. Nobody out with 2 on in the bottom of the 5th inning. 11-5 Jammers lead. Casey Vincent's 2-1 pitch, cut and a miss, strike 2. Count is even at 2 on Nick Capitano, who struck out 2 times already in Game 2 of this doubleheader. Anthony Barone sitting back down with Hayden Carter, as Colin Johnston continues to loosen in the Jammers' pen. Break-even pitch from Casey Vincent on the outside corner, and strike 3 called. Nick Capitano has struck out 3 times in Game 2 of the doubleheader. 1 out.
And 7th time in 8 at-bats.
Now up to the plate, number 28, Matthew Lillard.
Right fielder Lillard steps to the plate. Matthew struck out for the 2nd out of the 2nd inning, and he doubled back in the 4th. Came home to score on a wild pitch by Chris Valamont. First pitch by Vincent. On the inside corner, strike 1 called. No balls and 1 strike to the left-handed hitting right fielder Matthew Lillard.
First pitch to Matthew Lillard. Fired in for a strike.
Loeffler down at second, Eli at first. 1 out in the bottom of the 5th. 0-1 pitch from Vincent. On that inside corner again, strike 2. Casey Vincent enjoying being out there in the hill and facing the left-handed hitting Matthew Lillard. Not to be taken lightly after getting that double back in the 4th. Pitch is high and outside. The waste pitch is ball 1. 1 ball and 2 strikes. 2 on and 1 out. 11-5 Jammers lead. Casey Vincent trying to keep it that way. 1 ball, 2 strike pitch on its way. Hit towards second baseman Ryan Markey between his legs and into right field. 1 run is in to score. That's Loeffler. And now the throw goes into third, and there's nobody there. That allows Nick Eli to score, and moving into third base, diving and safe, is Matthew Lillard.
So a 2-base error.
Error charge to Ryan Markey. 2 runs come in. It's 11-7.
Mike O'Connor.
Nobody on the field right now feels worse than Ryan Markey. Lillard down at third base.
Loeffler comes around to score on the E4. Eli comes around to score on the E9. And Lillard
Error on the throw from Jimmy Standahar as well.
and then heads to third on the E9.
So a runner at third with 1 out, 2 runs in. The first pitch to Michael O'Connor is a strike from Casey Vincent.
The Pilots have 7 runs on 2 hits. 2 of the 7 runs have been RBIs.
7 runs, 2 hits. Not sure where that pitch was, but it was called ball 1. Kind of looked like it was between the knees and the belt, and it looked like it was over the plate. Once again, I'm down the first base line, so I have somewhat of a jaded shot at what the ump is calling. That one's high, and it's ball 2, and the count 2-1. Runner at third, Lillard, with 1 out, and a 2-1 count on Michael O'Connor. Jammers now going through what the Pilots went through. Can anybody throw a strike? 2-1 pitch. Outside ball 3, 3-1 the count now. Anthony Barone is up, checking with the bullpen. Colin Johnston still warming out there. He should be ready to go for sure. 3-1 pitch. Vincent throws one right down the pipe, taken by O'Connor, and the count's full with 3-2. 3 balls, 2 strikes, and 1 out. Vincent really needs to get O'Connor here at the plate. Christian Orr is on deck. 3-2 pitch on its way. This one's fouled back and out of play, and the count remains full at 3-2. 11 runs, 8 hits, 3 errors for the Jammers. 7-2-0 for the Pilots. Jammers with 1 run in the first, 2 runs in the second, 7 in the third, and a run in the fourth. Held scoreless in the top half of this 5th inning. Pilots with 1 in the bottom of the first, 4 in the fourth, and 2 so far here in the 5th. Another pitch is fouled off by O'Connor, and the count is still full with 3-2. 3 balls, 2 strikes, 1 out, runner at third. Matthew Lillard, who quite frankly shouldn't be on base. Should have been retired on the ground out, but Ryan Markey had trouble with it. He was expecting a hop, and it stayed right on the dirt. Swing and a miss, strike 3. Casey Vincent just flat out blew that by him. 2 out, Christian Orr steps up.
Pilots, the second baseman, number 4. Christian Orr.
Orr at the plate for a second official trip. Struck out swinging on a 2-2 pitch for the final out of the second. He walked and ended up scoring in the fourth. 2 out now, runner down at third. Lillard. Casey Vincent's first pitch on the inside corner to the right-handed hitting second baseman. Strike one.
Now would be a good time for that first hit with
No balls, 1 strike. 2 out. Lillard at third. Jammers up by 4.
1 strike pitch.
0-1 the count, and the pitch from Vincent. High. Count evens at 1. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Would be next if Christian Orr can
1 ball, 1 strike.
this inning.
I think Colin Johnston is loose. He's finally stopped throwing down in the bullpen. Casey Vincent's 1-1 pitch, cut and a miss, strike 2. Vincent falling back to an old favorite, Heat. He's trying to putz around picking at the corners, and it wasn't going too well, so been working with the Heat now. 1-2 the count. Christian Orr waiting for the 1-2 pitch by Vincent, and he gets a piece of it and fouls it back to that netting behind home plate. Count remains 1 ball and 2 strikes. Jamestown Jammers scoring double-digit runs 4 consecutive games here. Leading this one 11-7. There's that off-speed pitch, and it just stayed high, and Christian Orr was not biting at that one. Counts even at 2 now. 2 balls, 2 strikes, and 2 out. Casey Vincent trying to get the third out here in the bottom of the 5th, the 2-2 pitch. Cut and a miss, strike 3, blew it by him. Casey Vincent falls back to use his heat, and it's very effective. He ends up striking out the side, and despite that, the Newark Pilots score 2 runs on 1 hit, an error to the Jammers, and a runner left. Make that a couple errors to the Jammers, and a runner left at third. Score at the end of 5, Jammers 11, Pilots 7. More after this on the Jammers Baseball Network.
Driving has a rhythm all its own. Don't wreck it with a text. Before you get behind the wheel, silence your phone. Or better yet, designate a texter. For more text-free driving tips, visit StopTextStopWrecks.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration.
As we head to the top of the 6th inning, the Jamestown Jammers hang on to that lead. It's 11-7 now as the Pilots keep trying to claw their way back in, and you can officially say they are, as they're only down 4 now. Due up for the Jammers here in the top of the 6th, Christian Deaton, Ryan Markey, and John Conti. Christian Deaton came in for Skylar Valentine after he was hit by a pitch back behind the ear flap of the batting helmet, and he did go back out after that, but then in the he would have been up for a second time in the inning, and that's when Christian Deaton came up for him. Good choices to get Skylar out of the game. Deaton in his first plate appearance walked. 1 ball, no strikes, the count to him here, and now the count 2-0. John Ballier has done some good work here for the Pilots so far. That pitch is high, ball 3. 3 balls and no strikes. So no sooner do I pay him a compliment than Ballier can throw 3 balls. 3-0 the count. Inside low, ball 4. He walks Christian Deaton on 4 straight. Stepping up to plate is Ryan Markey. Ryan Markey went in to play second base. Jimmy Standahar moved to right. Runner down at first, Christian Deaton. Toss over by Ballier, and back safely is Christian Deaton. Deaton, obviously, a choice of somebody that would steal a base. We're in the top of the 6th. An 11-7 Jammers lead. Bunted at by Markey off the mound. Ballier does not have a play. Nobody at second base. So he has to go to first, and he gets Ryan Markey for the first out of the 6th inning.
Number 6, John Conti.
Center fielder John Conti will step up now.
But since the Pilots made this one a game with 6 runs in the last 2 innings.
Runner at second, Christian Deaton, 1 out.
So Christian Deaton moves up to second, and the hitter is the left-handed hitting left fielder John Conti.
Count that as a sacrifice for Ryan Markey, and that one's lofted deep to center field. Going back and not able to get it is DeMarcus Guillory. Anthony Barone is going to send Christian Deaton. He is come in to score, and moving into third base with a triple is John Conti, driving home Christian Deaton. John Conti rips one deep to center field, and Jimmy Standahar steps in.
Number 29, Jimmy Standahar.
Standahar at the plate. Runner down at third, Conti, 12-7. Jammers back up by 5. First pitch by Ballier misses, ball 1. 1 ball and no strikes. 1-0 pitch hit high in the air and pretty deep to right center field, and nobody's going to get that one. It hits at the base of the wall. Standahar rounding second, and he'll pull up and go back to the bag. It's a 1-out double for Jimmy Standahar, driving in John Conti, and the Jammers lead at 13-7. And that'll bring Bennett Schultz out of the Pilots' dugout. And we'll see if that'll be it for John Ballier.
Left in the Pilots' pen. Maybe we'll see one of the 3 position players that have pitched for the
Standahar at second base now, picking up an RBI on the double to right center field.
Ballier is the 3rd position player. We've also seen quite a few.
Just 1 out. 2 runs in. And now Chris Steffel will be at the plate for Anthony Barone's Jammers. John Ballier will continue on the hill. Lefty to lefty here with Steffel. Maybe there'll be a change depending on what happens with Steffel, with Bernick up next.
Chris Steffel.
1 out. Standahar at second, 2 runs in. Ballier's first pitch in the dirt. There goes Standahar into third, and the ball gets away from third baseman Nick Eli, and Jimmy Standahar comes in to score. Stolen base for Standahar, and then an error on the throw to Nick Capitano. And the Jammers have taken a 14-7 lead. It's just kind of insane the amount of runs that this team has scored here on this road trip. 19 Tuesday, 15 last night, 11 in Game 1 of this doubleheader, now 14 in Game 2. 1-0 the count, and the pitch on its way. Slow, ball 2. Base is empty. 3 runs in. 2 balls, no strikes, the count to Chris. One of many Chris's on our roster now. I have to start assigning the numbers. Chris 1, Chris 2. And since Chris is awfully close to Chris, we'll have to include him in that list. Ball 3 to Chris Steffel. Getting his first start for Anthony Barone. Sac fly. Got aboard on a fielder's choice and scored. Line drive right at Michael O'Connor for an out also. 3-1 the count now as he took that pitch. It came in from John Ballier. 3 balls, 1 strike. 1 out, nobody aboard, and the pitch. Checking his swing. No. They check.
Oh, he did. Chris Steffel went.
And then they appeal to the bases umpire, and he says strike 2. 3 balls, 2 strikes. Steffel, about halfway down to the first base bag, turns around and comes back. Scotty James brings him his bat, and Steffel steps back in. Payoff pitch now, and he checks his swing, and that is ball 4.
Toss his bat back.
Down at first, Steffel.
Get a little extra cardio in this game, too.
Still just 1 out, and Nick Bernick at the plate.
Now to the plate, number 13, Nick Bernick.
Bernick at the plate is 0 for 1, but he hit a sac fly back in the second. He forced in a run when he walked in the third and called out on strikes for the final out of the fourth. Pops one up. Shallow, center field. Shortstop Michael O'Connor goes back and makes the catch. And there are now 2 gone in the Jammers' half of the 6th. Back around to the top of the order, and Connor Rule. Chris Conley started this game.
21, Connor Rule.
But after the Jammers were up by a score of 10-1, or he may have made that move in the 4th. Let me check. But he decided to take Chris Conley out and put Connor Rule in, wanting Conley to be out there for the game against Geneva tomorrow night. First pitch to Connor Rule is a ball. 1 ball, no strikes. Steffel still down at first with 2 out. 1-0 pitch. Inside. Connor has to lift the elbows up and scoot back out of the way of that one. 2 balls and no strikes. 14 runs, 10 hits, and 3 errors for the Jammers. And the most bizarre one, Newark, 7 runs, 2 hits. That pitch is on the inside corner and taken by Connor Rule, and it's called strike 1. 2 balls and a strike with 2 out.
2 outs. John Ballier on the bump.
Left-hander John Ballier normally plays left field. He's on the hill right now, and he misses inside and low to Connor Rule for ball 3. 3-1 the count. Be interesting to see if Casey Vincent comes out for the bottom half of the 6th, or if Anthony Barone makes a change. Ground ball in the hole between third and short, off the tip of the glove of Nick Eli and into shallow left field. Stopping at second base is Steffel. It's a single for Connor Rule, and the Jammers inning continues on. Steffel at second,
now
Connor Rule at first.
Number 16, Chris Estrada.
Chris Estrada, the third baseman, the only regular that didn't get a break in tonight's action. Anthony Barone really doesn't have anybody to put in for him. Guys that have been filling in, you've had Markey, Bernick, and Standohar, and they're all busy at the moment. So Chris gets to stay out there, and the first pitch to him is a strike called on the inside corner. Chris hit by a pitch and scored, and hit a triple in the third. Grounded into a double play back in the 5th. 0-1 the count here to him. And the 0-1 pitch, high, counts even at 1. 1 ball, 1 strike. With that hit, 14 runs and 11 hits now for the Jammers.
2 outs. 1-1 count.
On deck, Matt Cross. 1-1 the count. John Ballier's 1-1 pitch. Grounded down the third baseline, knocked down by the third baseman Eli, and he wins the race to the bag, beating Chris Steffel for out number 3. That'll do it for the Jammers in their half of the 6th, but they do bring 3 across. And we had 2 hits make that 3 hits in the inning, a triple, double, and a single. We almost hit for the cycle as a team. How about that? And there was 1 runner left on base, and the score now at the end of 5 1/2. Jammers 14, and the Pilot 7 on the Jammers Baseball Network.
So you see, son, good manners are important. Should I go through it again?
Yes.
Yes, please.
Yes, please.
Exactly. Always say please, thank you, you're welcome, and excuse me. Sit up straight, hold doors open, don't speak with your mouth full, keep your elbows off the table. Share your things, play nice, and generally treat others the way you'd like to be treated. Got it?
Got it.
And stop picking your nose.
Most parenting is hard to do in just 2 minutes. But 2 minutes twice a day making sure they brush their teeth is easier, and it could help save them from a lifetime of tooth pain. Visit 2min2x.org to find out more. A message from the Partnership for Healthy Mouths, Healthy Lives, and the Ad Council.
Big Red Colin Johnston comes in now for the Jamestown Jammers in the bottom half of the 6th inning, and Casey Vincent's night is done. Try to get you some numbers for Casey's outing tonight as Colin Johnston takes his warm-up tosses. Casey Vincent went an inning and 2/3, faced 8 batters, gave up 2 runs on 1 hit. Walked 1, struck out 3, 34 pitches, 21 strikes, 13 balls. Yielding to Colin Johnston. Colin coming into the doubleheader was 1-0. This would be his 11th appearance, 14 2/3, 14 hits, no runs, 4 walks, 9 strikeouts. Opponents averaging .250 with Colin Johnston on the hill. He's going to try to get us home here. Got 2 innings to go. Try to put this away. The Jammers have doubled up Newark at this point, leading 14-7.
Now up to the plate, number 12, DeMarcus Guillory.
Top of the order set to face Colin Johnston. DeMarcus Guillory will lead things off. He's 0 for 1. He walked a couple of times back in the first, and he came around to score, and then he walked in the 4th. Up here in the 6th, he also struck out, by the way. That's his 0 for 1. And the first pitch to him's on the inside corner, taken by Guillory. Strike 1 called. No balls and 1 strike.
5.5 hours of baseball.
DeMarcus Guillory hits one, and it hits him in the batter's box, so it's a foul, and it's strike 2. No balls and 2 strikes.
7 inning, game 2.
Colin Johnston being called on to perhaps throw 2 here to finish this off. 14, 11, and 3 for the Jammers, 7, 2, and 1 for the Pilots, and the pitch comes sidearm that time, and off-speed delivery. It's taken by Guillory, and it's ball 1. 1 ball, 2 strikes. 1-2 the count. Johnston has the sign from Connor Rule with a 1-2 pitch. Ground ball, takes a weird hop. Markey gets to it, makes the throw.
And he's safe.
And the bases umpire says safe. DeMarcus Guillory beats it out. It's an infield single for the Pilots to start off the bottom of the 6th inning, and it just keeps happening. Wei-Chi Chen steps up.
Now up to the plate, number 11, Wei-Chi Chen.
Wei-Chi Chen struck out 2 times, swinging in the 1st and also in the 3rd inning. Also hit a fly ball out to Christian Deaton. First pitch is fouled off down the first base line, strike 1. No balls and a strike to the right-handed hitting left fielder, Wei-Chi Chen. 0-1 the count. Colin Johnston taking his time here, twisting the ball behind his back, and now ready to bring the 0-1. Cutting a miss. That's a strike. Throw down to second base, and safe at second is DeMarcus Guillory. Good throw down by Connor Rule, just not in time to get Guillory. He's down at second. Nobody out. 0-2 the count to Wei-Chi Chen. Colin Johnston has a look into Connor Rule. Guillory does not have that big a lead off the bag at second. The pitch is inside, backs Chen off the plate, and the count now 1-2. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
1 ball, 2 strikes, nobody out. Marcus Guillory.
Runner at second and nobody out. We're in the bottom of the 6th. Cut and a miss, strike 3. Colin Johnston overpowered Wei-Chi Chen for out number 1. Pete Battaglia steps up.
Now up to the plate, number 78, Peter Battaglia.
Pete reached on a walk back in the first, hit by a pitch in the third, and popped out to Ben Brookover in the 4th. Colin Johnston, the righty on the hill. Guillory fakes like he's going down, and that induces Connor Rule to pop out from behind the plate. No reason to throw, though, because Guillory went back to second base, ball 1. Well, that was called a strike. No balls and 1 strike to Battaglia. 0-1 pitch. Misses outside, so the count's even at 1-1. 1 ball, 1 strike, 1 out. Guillory, the leadoff batter, got an infield single and then stole second. That's where he is. Wei-Chi Chen struck out. That pitch is outside and high. Thought he might induce Battaglia to take a cut. He didn't. 2 balls and a strike.
2 balls, 1 strike, 1 out.
With that single by Guillory, the Pilots now have 3 hits. That one's high, ball 3. Speaking of threes. 3 balls and a strike with 1 out. Seven runs, 3 hits, 3 jammers, errors, and a ton of walks.
Johnston from the stretch, the 3-1.
Cut and a miss, and the count's now full at 3-2. Johnston needs to remember that pitch and try to get Battaglia here at the plate. 1 out, bottom of the 6th, 14-7, Jammers lead. 3-2 is the count and the pitch. Outside low, ball 4. Still having fun in the press box, and Guillory moves up. He steals third on the play. As the press box said, it's a football score, 14-7. And of course they're right. Coming up to the plate is Josh Loeffler, the DH.
Now up to the plate, number 5, Josh Loeffler.
Loeffler, a sac fly back in the first innings, committing the second out. 1 run did come across, and that was Guillory. Johnston's first pitch is outside and low, ball 1. Loeffler struck out swinging in the third for the final out of that inning, doubled and scored in the 5th when the Pilots brought home 2. 1 ball, no strikes, the count. Colin Johnston, third pitcher of this game for the Jammers. Cut, foul tip. Comes back off the home plate umpire's mask, and the count is 1-1. 1 ball, 1 strike. Runners at the corners, and just 1 out for the Pilots in the bottom of the 6th. I feel pretty certain that this is Johnston's game at this point. Casey Vincent sitting down on one of the chairs outside the Jammers dugout, and he watches the pitch from Colin Johnston go outside and low, and the count now 2-1. 2 balls, 1 strike, 1 out. 2 runners on at the corners. Guillory at third. Battaglia down at first. 2-1 pitch. And that is ball 3, and Connor Rule will go out and have a chat with Colin Johnston. Try to get him calmed down a little bit. Falling behind Loeffler at 3-1.
Ahead of the 3-1. Josh Loeffler.
Home plate umpire started out to chase Connor Rule. He didn't have to. Connor was already about halfway back to the plate. 3 balls and 1 strike.
Just about in front of him.
Colin Johnston twirls the ball behind his back. Grabs the seams he wants for this pitch, throws it, and it's fouled off by Loeffler, and the count now 3-2. 3 balls and 2 strikes. See what Johnston brings here to Loeffler with the count full. And hopefully not load the bases again. 3-2 pitch. Came with some high heat, and it's fouled off the bat handle of Josh Loeffler. Kind of a protective swing. 3-2 the count. Still. This will now be the 7th pitch of this at-bat to Josh Loeffler. Guillory down at third. Battaglia at first, and the pitch. And it's inside, and Loeffler reaches. Bases loaded, 1 out, and Hayden Carter out of the Jammers dugout to go out and talk to Colin Johnston. Hayden has a pretty good path beat in between the Jammers dugout and the mound. Trying to calm the guys down here tonight. Looking down into the bullpen, Alex O'Donnell is once again throwing down there. OD may be coming in, you never know. Supply of baseballs brought out for the home plate umpire. Nick Eli will be the batter up next with the bases loaded and just 1 out. Eli's 0 for 1, struck out in the first, walked in the 4th and scored on a wild pitch, and then walked in the 5th and scored. Jammers 14, Pilot 7. Eli steps in. Colin Johnston with the first pitch on the outside corner, strike 1 called. No balls, 1 strike. Bases loaded, 1 out. Colin Johnston with the 0-1. In the same spot, just a little bit further outside, the count evens up. 1 ball, 1 strike. Runner down at third base, Guillory. Led off the inning with a single. Battaglia walked. He's at second. Loeffler down at first after he walked. And Johnston comes inside and hits Nick Eli, forcing in DeMarcus Guillory and making the score 14-8.
To the plate, number 31, Nick Capitano.
Battaglia down to third. Loeffler up to second. Eli down at first. Nick Capitano at the plate. Capitano struck out 3 times, 2 times called out in the 2nd and 5th, and swinging in the 4th. First pitch to him. Ground ball toward Nick Burnick. Burnick goes to Markey for 1, over to first. It's an inning-ending double play. The Jamestown Jammers get out of that with only 1 run coming across. It looks like another inning that was going to blow up, and it got stopped right there. That'll do it for the Pilots in their half of the 6th as they bring a run across on a hit. No Jammers errors, and 2 runners left on base. The score at the end of 6, Jammers 14, Pilots 8 on the Jammers Baseball Network.
There are many sounds in your daily life. Ones that make you smile. Ones that help you relax. And there are some sounds that can help save lives. Wireless emergency alerts, now on many mobile devices, use a unique sound and vibration to bring you critical information about emergencies in your area. With updates from local sources you know and trust, you can be in the know wherever you are. Learn more at ready.gov/alerts. Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
Well, we started play shortly after 5 o'clock. It's now shortly after 11 o'clock. 6 hours to play 2 7-inning games. We're still not done, so I guess I shouldn't get the cart out in front of the horse at this point. 14-8. Jammers lead as we head to the top of the 7th. Numbers 3, 4, and 5 due up to face. The pitcher on the hill for the Pilots, Graham Hackbarth. So Hackbarth comes into the game, another position player going into pitch for the Pilots here in the top of the 7th. Nice effort. Let me see if Hackbarth has been on the hill before, and indeed he has. This will be his second appearance. He's thrown an inning, given up a hit, a walk, and no runs, facing 5 batters, and they're hitting .250 against Hackbarth. And so, Hackbarth in after Ballier finishes up. Matt Cross comes to the plate. Jammers have used up 3 pitchers. Valamont started, Vincent, and then Johnston. And at the plate, Matt Cross takes strike 1. Ballier has gone the longest of any Pilots pitcher at 3 1/3 innings. He threw 55 pitches, 28 strikes, 27 balls, walked 3 and struck out 2 during his time out there, giving up 4 runs on 5 hits. 1-1 pitch on its way to Cross, and he yanks it foul. Got some serious distance on that one, but it's foul, and it's just a noisy strike. 1-2 the count to Matt Cross. Cross, Deaton, Markey due up here in the top of the 7th in a 14-8 game. 1-2 pitch. Oh, what a beautiful curveball by Hackbarth, taken by Cross, frozen at the plate. Strike 3 called. 1 up, 1 down, Christian Deaton.
Let's hear it for number 16, Graham Hackbar.
Hackbarth gets a strikeout. And the first pitch on its way to Christian Deaton is ball 1. Deaton has walked 2 times, and he scored back in the 6th to boot. 1-0 the count. And the pitch. Inside low, and that is ball 2. 2 balls and no strikes. Jonathan Kyle Griffin. Happened to hear that name floating by here, so I just thought I'd bring it up. 3-0 the count to Christian Deaton. 1 out as Matt Cross called out on a delicious curveball by Hackbarth. And Hackbarth misses outside. He walks Deaton on 4 straight. After throwing the great curveball that he did to Cross, he couldn't find the strike zone with Deaton up. Ryan Markey steps up.
Now up to the plate, Ryan Markey.
Markey came in to play second, and Jimmy Standahar moved out to right. Sacrifice bunt in the 6th, so no official ABs so far. That one's inside, and Markey gets out of the way of it. It's ball 1. 1 ball and no strikes. Hackbarth from Birmingham, Alabama, moving up to second base on a called strike is Christian Deaton with a stolen base, or are we going to call that defensive indifference, I guess. Markey with a 1-1 count on him. Pitch by Hackbarth, fouled back by Markey, and the count now 1 ball and 2 strikes. 1-2 the count. Hackbarth from Birmingham, Alabama.
He leads off second.
1 ball, 2 strikes. The pitch. Off-speed delivery, Markey way out in front of it. And that is strike 3 swinging. Hackbarth has struck out 2 batters here in the top of the 7th. Cross on a called 3rd strike. Markey swinging, and John Conti will step up.
To the plate, number 6, John Conti.
What an inning, or a game that is Conti's had. He scored all 4 times he's been at the plate. Walked 2 times and scored, and even picked up an RBI as he forced in a run there in the 3rd. Singled and scored in the 4th. Tripled and scored in the 6th, picking up another ribby. 0-1 the count to him. 0-2. Graham Hackbarth.
No balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs.
With a no ball, 2-strike count on John Conte in the pitch. That's a shot that's hit up on one hop, belt high hop, fielded by second baseman Christian Orr, retiring John Conte and the Jammers in their half of the 7th. No runs across, no hits, no errors for the Pilots, and a runner left on base. That was Christian Deaton who drew the walk. We have now completed 7 1/2, or make that 6 1/2, and the score, Jammers 14, Pilots 8 on the Jammers Baseball Network.
Penswood.net Classifieds offers the freshest, most recent classified ads available with over 1,500 new ads each day. If you're looking for a reliable used vehicle, check out the multiple ads daily on Penswood.net Classifieds. From cars, trucks, RVs, and motorcycles, you can scan the ads at Penswood.net at any time of the day or night and find something that fits your needs. Looking for household items, student housing, or even a new pet? Penswood.net Classifieds has it. Penswood.net, where you can buy, sell, or trade locally.
Heading to the bottom of the 7th, many hoping this will be the final at-bats. 14-8 the score. It's 11:07. We are well over 6 hours now at the ballpark, just in baseball. And here we go.
Now up to the plate, number 28, Matthew Lillard.
Matt Lillard steps up. Colin Johnston continues on the hill for Anthony Barone's Jammers. Interesting stat, the Jammers, when leading after 5, are 13-1 on the season. When leading after 6, 14-1. And this one's hit toward right field. And Standahar is going to make the catch, and that is out number 1. 1 up, 1 down. That has not happened nearly enough in these doubleheader games. I mean to tell you. 1 gone. Michael O'Connor steps up.
Michael O'Connor.
Scoring went like this for the Jammers. Single tally in the first, 2 in the second, 7 in the third, 1 in the fourth, 3 in the sixth. And I think even with Common Core math, that adds up to 14. And the first pitch is low to O'Connor, ball 1. 1 ball and no strikes to count. The Pilots, a single tally in the bottom of the first inning, 4 in the fourth, 2 in the fifth, and 1 in the sixth. And that totals 8. 14-11-3 for the Jammers, 8-3-1 for the Pilots. 1-1 the count, the pitch. On the inside corner at the knees, and strike 2 called. 1 ball and 2 strikes to shortstop Michael O'Connor. 1-2 pitch on its way. High chopper over the head of Johnston. Coming in to get it is Markey, and makes the throw over to Matt Cross to retire O'Connor for out number 2. 2 up, 2 down.
Now up to the plate, number 4, Christian Orr.
So the Pilots down to their final out in game 2 of this doubleheader, trailing by 6, and Christian Orr will try to keep it going. He is 0 for 2 in this game. Struck out swinging in the second and fifth, and he walked and scored in the fourth. 0-1 the count to him here. Colin Johnston seems to be a little bit more in the groove here. The count evens up at 1-1 on that pitch outside and low. Tomorrow night, Jammers hosting Geneva. That one's lined into right field, and the game will go on. Christian Orr heading up the second. Throw comes in, he slides, and well ahead of the throw. It's a double for Christian Orr with 2 out. And DeMarcus Guillory will come to the plate.
Now up to the plate, number 12, DeMarcus Guillory.
Guillory has been on base 3 times, walked and scored in the first, walked in the fourth, singled and scored in the sixth, and back there in the third he struck out on an 0-2 pitch from Valamont. Chris Valamont started, and that seems like it was ages ago. And the first pitch to Guillory by Johnston is fouled off over toward the Pilots' dugout. Strike one. No balls and a strike to the left-handed hitting center fielder, DeMarcus Guillory, with a righty on the hill, Colin Johnston. Runner down at second, Christian Orr with 2 out. Here's a ground ball. Ryan Markey over in the hole between first and second, fields it, throws to Matt Cross, and that'll do it for the doubleheader. The Jammers take 2. They play 2 and take 2. Final score in Game 2, Jammers 14 and the Pilots 8, as no runs come across, 1 hit, no errors for the Jammers, and a runner left on base. Final score once again in Game 2, Jammers 14, Pilots 8. We win 2 in Newark. We win all 4 on the road and score double digits in every one of those 4 games. Quite a performance by these Jamestown Jammers. Our next broadcast will be tomorrow night from Russell E. Dietrich Jr. Park when the Jammers host the Geneva Red Wings. Once again, that final, Jammers 14, Newark 8. The Jammers improved to 20-5 on the season. We'll catch you tomorrow night. And until then, this is Dave Shannon.